Yeah, and this is how it is looking like. There's not been a lot of ongoing roadworks, and what we know is that at least on roads or on areas where we see either expansion of those roads, recarpeting, reconstruction, whether a bridge is being installed or just been closed to necessitate any roadworks, we oftentimes see the heavy kind of traffic. But at least on this specific one, there has been none of that per se over the recent past months, and this is how it is doing this morning in terms of traffic, green all through. In fact, when I was looking at it, just earlier on, this is how it was. So it just means that the situation has been this way since early morning, and this is how it is. So for our viewers coming from these areas, estates along this particular lane or particular place, just as you enjoy into Makupa, this is the best time for you to do that if at all you're going to the city there, because there's no traffic at all, just on some sections. In fact, not even here, they're just on some sections as you get to the roundabout, coming all the way from this other, one of those slip roads there, that is the Lumumba Road. As you enjoy the roundabout, that is just where it begins to slightly build up. But it's just on this particular section, only here, and altogether it's a manageable kind of traffic. That is why we are seeing that orange color there. On the other side, it is green all through again, meaning there's no traffic there. As you get to branch out to the other side of Lumumba Road as well, one of those slip roads there, also green all through, no traffic at all. On the other side, as you leave the roundabout heading to Tudor, also again green all through, no traffic. As you leave those areas, next to the police station is just where there's a bit of a gridlock, but just as I mentioned, at least it's a manageable kind of traffic. As you get to leave that area, that is the Makupa, get to branch off to Ronald Ngala Road, one of those slip roads. As you branch off there, still green all through, and there's no traffic there. Slightly away from there, just as you get through Makupa all through the other side, before you get to branch off to the Ronald Ngala, again, that is where traffic begins to slightly build up, but altogether still a manageable kind of traffic. So what this means is that we do not need to look at any alternative routes, at least as of now. Most of these slip roads branching off from this major roundabout, if I can mention this morning, just a smooth sailing, no traffic at all, no activities ongoing here and there. Majorly on most parts, as you get to leave the roundabout, just coming through, branching off to different roads here, and they're still green all through, no traffic at all. And just as I mentioned, we do not need to look at any alternative routes. And this is just how it is how it was. Nothing is changing. So green all through. Hence why I was saying, if at all you intend to come to the city, then again, this is the best time for you to do that. So we might probably continue just checking on what is happening on that road, try to see if things will change, and try to see if at all we might need to look at any alternative routes, perhaps on our different other subsequent links.
All right, so after taking a look at what's happening around you on our roads, now let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines on our local dailies. And with me here, I have the Star newspaper. And just quickly, let me give you what's on the splash. It says, big hotels empty, smaller owners are hurting by COVID. Big hotels empty, smaller owners are hurt by COVID. And it continues to say that from Nairobi to Mombasa to Kisumu, hoteliers are telling of how the virus is killing small businesses across the country. This is something that we have discussed before. It has been said, and of course, we all know the ripple effect of the COVID-19 on our economy. That story continues on page 6, 7, and 20 of the Star newspaper. And yesterday morning, we had an accident in Kilifi where 15 people were left dead, 14 people injured in a Malindi accident, and a couple of others are still recuperating in different hospitals in the coastal towns down there. The government also said that vaccines are safe after 350,000 receive the jab. That's the ministry. And briefly says that government says the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe. The health ministry said an adverse event following the uptake of the vaccine does not imply a causative relationship. So there have been some cases of some allegations that the AstraZeneca vaccine has been reacting adversely to some people, but now the health ministry says that all is well and you are free to go and take that jab. And still on drugs, government begins restocking ARVs. All right, the ARVs drugs are now back, and the government says that, however, patients will continue to face rationing in the initial stages of the drugs, despite the health ministry beginning the redistribution. This is after the ministry noted that despite having received some drugs from other sources and restocking already going on in various health facilities, patients will receive enough drugs for short periods at a time till the regular supply is restored. So you are safe also when you're going to take your ARV drugs. The government says that there is enough for everyone. Briefly, the governor of Kisumu, Anyang' Nyong'o, says that you're on your own. That is why there are only 260 ICU beds in 41 counties. We talked about this again last week and this week, and still the report still says that there are only 260 ICU beds in 41 counties. I'll give you details on that story as we continue with the program.
Let's now get to have a quick look at what the front page of the Daily Nation has for us this morning. Not too busy. We start with the two stories here on the top head of the Daily Nation. Number one in regards to the vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccines. And this one is in particular about the battle over the Russian Sputnik vaccine as it continues to intensify, even as LSK moves to court to sue the government for stopping the importation, distribution and administration of the Sputnik vaccine by private entities. And also another story that is on the same page, that is page 10 of the Daily Nation. There has been a case of rather this investigation that has been launched into an alleged case of a lady having suffered a miscarriage after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. We'll be getting to those details in a bit. Now, still here on the top head of the Daily Nation, police couples troubled. Love ends in death. This is the story of two individuals, a couple that were both officers who are said to have ended up in death after a 6-year relationship that was troubled, according to their account of this story. Moving on to the main story here on the front page of the Daily Nation. This is all about women and the women who are driving politics behind the scenes and also on the front. They go on to caption this story as Power Women Driving Politics and Their Influence over the 2022 general elections, the forthcoming general elections. And now it is turning out that bigwigs count on family members and other politicians for support. Herein they've pictured a number of women leaders that we know, of course, starting with Her Excellency the First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta. Then we have former First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta. They have also pictured in Waiguru, Kirinyaga Governor, Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu, DP's wife, Rachel Ruto, Ida Odinga, Martha Karua, Nancy Gitau, just to name but a few, just trying to understand what impact they have when it comes to the 2022 succession conversation. Lastly, we have the conversation around IMF as Treasury is set to unveil new taxes. This is in line with the government plans to introduce taxes and cut back on the existing tax exemptions as part of the reform packages funded by the IMF loan. We'll be getting to those details in a bit, even as there is a crackdown that is ongoing in regards to those who are protesting this IMF loan. And this is a conversation that has been happening on social media. We'll be giving you those details in a bit, so do stay with us. Hooray.
Talking about details, Kenyans have been angered over the issue of, Kenya getting another loan and such. But is the anger over the loan misguided? We'll be getting to those details in not too long. Good morning. Now, sneak peek of what we have on the copy, today's copy of the Standard. That's how it looks like. You asked me, quite busy there. So we have matters of succession politics. Now Raila's party about turn on flag bearer. Yes, now ODM calls National Executive Committee meeting and hints at a possibility of extending the application period for presidential aspirants. Quite rhetoric, right? Okay. We'll be giving you details. Let's not try and preempt or, make assumptions in regard to this matter. Remember, day in politics is quite a long time. Anything can change. Now, talking about the debt situation and where Kenya is concerned. Now, the IMF has gone further to okay Kenya's Eurobond and plans there are going to be some changes, especially where civil servants are concerned. We are staring at job losses, or rather job cuts, as some of the requirements that government has to ensure so that this actually sails through. So the header here reads, International Monetary Fund endorses plan to borrow up to 508 billion shillings to repay other expensive loans, as thousands of civil service and parastatal jobs face the axe in the IMF tough times. You see, there's so much has been said, and let me try and paraphrase what economist David Ndii said. Nothing is for free. This is a capitalistic state. We will always have to repay this loan. So we are borrowing more to repay debt. Debt service management. And on BizCheck, which is going to be coming up at around 10 a.m., these are some of the issues that we're going to be putting in, into perspective. So you might want to keep us company till then. Safin will be taking up that particular conversation. So away from matters of debt and finances, the front page here also talks about matters of, gender-based violence. So for the last 1 week, we've been reporting so much. A spouse kills another and kills the children. Now this is a story about Wakise, shocking killings inside the troubled life of GSU officer and wife. They were all servicemen, and there's a detailed account of what happened before Wakise ended his life, and the wives and the children, thank God, survived this ordeal. So it started at around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, where Pauline Wakasa arrives home from Kilimani police station, and she was working in the traffic department and has dinner with her children. 15 minutes later, the husband, Hudson Wakise, arrives home, where to his wife and children had moved into 5 days earlier. Apparently, they had moved from the police quarters into another rental home, and is even welcomed and served dinner. So after dinner, presumably, a quarrel breaks out, and Wakise leaves the house, only to return shortly thereafter. And the couple is sitting in the lounge, or the living room, and the children in the bedroom. Then gunshots ran the air. According to police, Wakise shot Wakasa 3 times in the chest, then turned the gun on himself, and he suffered a single bullet injury to his head. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. And it's quite sad. I know there's what we term as crimes of passion. I'm not a detective, I have no authority. But the fact that you can have an argument, step out for a few minutes, come back to the house where your wife and your children are. Proceed to shoot the mother of your children. Then take a gun to yourself. What is going on through your head? What happens to the children that you claim you love? Has life become this priceless? Story that finds its way on the front page of the Standard this morning.
And we're speaking about what goes through someone's head on the front page of the PD. That same story still finds its way there, whereby now some family members are just explaining that the major problem could be marital strife between the two couples. And also there's an article on the same paper that just where a psychologist explains how work stress trauma is driving more security officers over the edge. Not really saying to justify anything, but I'll just be telling you part of what most psychologists are saying could be the issues as it pertains to matters gender-based violence. Away from that, coming to matters BBI, there's a bit of push and pull and the ODM camp as it pertains to the Constitution Amendment Bill, where some sections of leaders now want the former Premier to focus on the 2022 elections, which is just coming up in the next 15 months or so. And some sections of leaders just want him to complete the BBI process. And this also comes at a time where there's a proposed special sitting next week in regards to tabling of the BBI report before it gets over to the debate. So which way Raila, which way matters BBI as it pertains to the ODM camp there? Again, still on the same front page, at least a reprieve for persons living with HIV, and this is as the HIV drugs are now cleared. Again, there was also a bit of a push and pull as the drugs were at the port, but at least right now they are cleared, so a bit of a reprieve for persons living with HIV. Experts are now explaining how the AstraZeneca vaccine works, and they also clear air on blood clots. That was part of the issues that came through with that vaccine. Some saying that those could be some of the side effects, but now experts are coming to clear the air, and I'll be telling you what it is they are saying as it pertains to the AstraZeneca vaccine, and also what they are saying as they clear the air on blood clots when one gets vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. To the details now.
Where do we start with the details? Let's start, since you've wound up on the COVID situation, is that maybe we can start from there and just highlight the preparations. How well prepared or not are counties? Now, a detailed report here by reporter Kevin Washira indicates that now county governments claim that their efforts to deal with the coronavirus pandemic have been curtailed by the National Treasury. Now they accuse Treasury of delaying to disburse 85 billion shillings from December 2020 to March 2021, making it difficult for them to continue offering services. Is it a case of blame game? Kevin Washira puts this into perspective.
2 months to the end of 2020-2021 financial year, and county governments are accusing the National Treasury of delaying to disburse the county equitable share of revenue. 12 counties have not received 7.2 billion shillings for the month of December 2020. At least 78 billion shillings is yet to be disbursed to all 47 counties for the months of January, February and March.
7.2 billion shillings owed to 12 counties for the month of December. Those counties didn't have a happy Christmas. 26 billion shillings owed to 47 counties for the month of January. 26 billion shillings owed to 47 counties for the month of February. 26 billion Kenyan shillings owed to 47 counties for the month of March.
According to the governors, the 4-month delay has had an impact on counties' operations.
This delay, ladies and gentlemen, has continued to slow down timely response to COVID-19, and the other county operations have been impacted negatively. In this regard, the Council of Governors now strongly notifies the national treasury that this inordinate 4-month delay may lead to other drastic actions since negotiations seem not to be heeded.
The Council of Governors now want the monies disbursed in the next 1 week. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Now, before Jane takes it up, that you can get further details in regard to stories that we've been keeping, tabs on in as far as our state preparedness is concerned, as Kenya is timed to be riding the third wave of COVID-19. Jane, what do you have on your end?
Just to add on to that particular story concerning COVID-19 in brief, is that here on page 10 of the Daily Nation, again, there's that piece up there in regards to LSK suing the government for the ban that it imposed on the importation, distribution and administration of the Sputnik 5 vaccine from Russia, saying it contravenes Article 43 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to the highest attainable standards of health for all individuals. And again, the same page continues to look at this particular case where they have launched a probe into a miscarriage that was linked to COVID-19 vaccine. A young lady is said to have reported she suffered a miscarriage after getting the vaccine, and the Pharmacy and Poisons Board say that of course confusion arose when that case was reported as a death instead of an adverse reaction. And according to the World Health Organization, they recommend that pregnant women should receive the vaccine if only the benefits would be to the mother outweighs the potential vaccine risks. According to representatives, they go on to say that World Health Organization does not recommend pregnancy testing prior to the vaccination, and any medical event that occurs after the immunization can be classified under adverse event following immunization, AEFI. And this are either attributed to reacting to the vaccine itself or the product having some defects of sorts. So you can read more of that there on page 10 of the Daily Nation. And now coming to this particular piece here, where the police have now launched a crackdown on the anti-IMF loan crusaders. So this is also an initiative from the government that has launched a crackdown on activists that are questioning the IMF loans and protesting the recent COVID-19 restrictions. And there are two online petitions that are circulating here in our country. Number one, hashtag Stop Loaning Kenya, and that urges IMF not to release the 257 billion to Kenya. And the other one is in line with demanding the lifting of these containment measures to control the pandemic here in our country. And the hashtag is Unlock Our Country. By yesterday, there were 20 activists that had been arrested. Some were taken to court and charged with a number of offenses were leveled against them, some of which include abuse of digital gadgets, hurting the presidency, in quotes, creating public disorder, among many others. There's some that were fined 3,000 each for public disturbance as well. And we have seen they go on to say, especially this particular one involving one Mr. Mutemi, who put up a post on Twitter saying that President Kenyatta is no longer authorized to seek funds on behalf of the Kenyan citizens. And police, on the other hand, say that these words mounted against the president are false publication and contrary to sections of the Constitution under the not under the Constitution, under the Cyber Crimes Act. So you can read more of that there on page 9 of the Daily Nation. But this conversation is actually quite ablaze on social media. These two hashtags, and I'm sure you guys have also interacted with them. Hashtag Unlock Our Country and Stop Loaning Kenya. Inasumbua watu mitandaoni, and if you follow that conversation, you will get to understand why our citizens are angry.
And the Unlock Our Country has been there since last week.
Now, maybe the big question I need to ask you, and as well as directed to Kenyans, do you think that there's going to be a chance that that particular petition that has been signed by over 220,000 people so far will achieve its objectives.
Which one? Stop loaning Kenya or unlock our country?
Stop loaning Kenya.
Stop loaning Kenya.
Well, yesterday we had a discussion with Advice Mulando, who said that, Kenyans are just, we are interesting kind of a nation, all right? Any slightest thing can create a buzz on social media, but that petition, he said very well, that would not hold any water because the IMF and the government of Kenya does not have a middleman. That is now the Wananchi petitioning IMF to stop Kenya from loaning, IMF from loaning Kenya. Now, this is a system. IMF and the government of Kenya, there is a link. So you and I petitioning IMF to stop loaning Kenya, I think it's just hot air. Kenyans, the government will just get its way out of this. Yeah.
Just to add on to what you're saying, Vic.
Yes.
This is the first time we are seeing the people actively protesting against a loan that the country is taking.
But do you think it was just fun?
And I'm not saying, I don't think we should be quick to dismiss this concern that we as a people have. Because according to IMF, this loan was coming under a set of conditions, This goes down to even restructuring how 9 parastatals, to be specifically, that were mentioned, how they are performing and why they're making losses, to just refigure what is happening in particular state entities. And now even here on the back page of the Daily Nation, that particular package involving this 257 billion is coming with a number of reforms, among them looking at the taxes that we are currently paying, because the government plans to introduce new taxes and cut back on existing tax exemptions as part of the reforms package this package that is being funded by the IMF.
To add further details, and I'd want to quote controversial economist David Ndii, who says, "Dear young #KOT, that is Kenyans on Twitter, the IMF loan that Kenya has taken is called a Structural Adjustment Loan, SAP or SAP. And it comes with austerity measures, tax raises, spending cuts and downsizing, all meant to make Kenya credit-worthy so that it continues to borrow and service debt." So IMF is not here to play. Ask the older ones. That is what David Ndii said on Twitter. And economists have come out also in large numbers to give the reason as to why Kenya has to borrow. First of all, we're dealing with a pandemic. Then look at, how much the taxman has been making over the last 3 years, for example.
And the deficits.
And the deficit, the public deficit right now, that's around 900 and something.
Billion,
into the billions. And we have loans that are maturing in June, July. We have to pay the debts. And Kenyans have been asking them, why don't you borrow internally? Well, the risk of borrowing internally right now is going to cause what we call crowding of the private sector. This means that commercial credit facilities like banks will opt to lend to the government and not give you a loan as a business or as an individual, because doing business with the government is less risky. Returns are assured. Then look at just how much are we borrowing. Are we that liquid to get that amount of money? I also want to quote what Mboi Washaga says, who is also an economist. He says, a state cannot die or cannot be allowed to die, but you cannot sweep mistakes under the bridge or on pretext that the past mistakes are spilled milk. So what I have to do, what you have to do is to take advantage of any new resources to reform public finances so that you do not have any more spilled milk. And this comes from the fact that Kenyans have been saying, why are you lending this money to Kenya and we are irresponsible? We don't see where the money goes. And economists have said that the information is either lacking or there are questions that are being unanswered, especially to Wanjiko. People
are suspicious that the worst that the borrowing today, that borrowing today is not producing goods for tomorrow, and generations coming tomorrow will have to pay for it without seeing the impact on their economy.
You know, this goes back to civic
Education.
educating the public, because the government does what it needs to do as a government. The president does what he needs to do as the president, okay? Sometimes we may never really understand the greater good that is involved in these decisions. And that is why I feel we shouldn't ignore this interest that we as the citizens are raising, the concerns about this loan that is being given to the country, because this goes to show that a great part of the population do not understand why we are taking more loans. And yet we are struggling with the economy. There aren't, job opportunities available. The country is in a state almost on its knees. You can't work, you cannot set up shop, you cannot interact with people. There's so much that the people are going through. They're frustrated, and then comes this particular loan. You see, as humans, you would be quick to react, like, nini munaitisha loan ingine, hatuna mashida za kutosha.
And I think it also comes
we need
down
to educate the people.
But the question is, I actually do not blame Kenyans per se, because they're speaking for a majority of us. Because we have been talking about the issue of graft, and it is costing not just, matters of governance, but it's also costing us in as far as finances are concerned. So if today, fine, we are looking at an approval of 508 billion shillings under the Euro bond that IMF has given an okay to. So we're looking at borrowing around 700 in total, there plus. So weeks after, let's just go, weeks after, we are here reporting that monies allocated for project XYZ landed in an offshore account belonging to person XYZ.
Or cannot be traced.
Or cannot
and
be
accounted
traced.
for.
Then what does government do? Let's go back, let's play back what has been happening over the last few years. What happens?
Not even too
most
far.
Likely,
go to KEMSA.
Most likely we do what? An inquiry, right? Victor, have you ever found, the findings of these inquiries, have they ever been made public?
Most of these inquiries...
Has something ever been done tangible that we can say that so and so has been indicted and so is paying for that?
I think that's why most Kenyans are just, on top of this, because as you've said, we had Goldenberg scandal, we have got
Anglo-Leasing
the maize scandal, the fertilizer, all those scandals. And nobody has ever been prosecuted properly.
Or incarcerated.
Apart from the Aror at the Kimorere Dam that had some officials suspended, the cases are still going on and all that. But going back into the years, nothing has been done. But on page 12 of the Star, IMF has responded on the 55 billion shillings loan as Kenyans on social media had a protest. And this is what IMF said. Following social media pressure by Kenyans questioning the 255 billion shillings IMF loan, the lender has responded saying that it loaned Kenya the money to help in the containment of public debt. And I quote, on April 2nd, 2021, the board approved 38th month arrangement under the Extended Credit Facility, that is ECF, and the Extended Fund Facility, EFF, for Kenya in an amount equivalent to $2.34 billion to support the next phase of the authorities' COVID-19 response and address the urgent need to reduce debt vulnerabilities. Now, it continues to say down there that the lender said that some of the financial challenges Kenya is facing had been outlined in the 2021 financial year and that not all the money lent to Kenya was going to be used on emergent needs such as battling the adverse effects of the COVID-19. And it closes by saying that IMF has assured Kenyans that the authorities' program would get a basis for a resurgence of growth and shared prosperity.
Victor, let me ask you a very simple question. Just looking at that response, Mama Mboga Telewa, anything from that?
And that's where it goes back to civic
helping,
education.
yes, people understand, even from that response they have given, it's very technical, it's very clear. It outlines the reasons that they feel are worthy of this credit. And Kenya is allowed, looking at the conditions, very valid, but helping the common mwananchi understand that that is where there is a gap. You know, that down-up approach needs to be looked at every level to help Kenyans understand, because you don't just complain because you understand, you complain because you don't understand a particular event and thing that is happening. And this is why, in as much as this loan has its own reasons, is valid in terms of it, how legal it is, the people also have a right when they raise their concerns as to, in regards to this particular loan.
Yeah, let me just jump into that a bit. And you see, also for Kenyans to be raising the kind of concerns they are raising, in as much as you may want to borrow all you want to borrow, it's just because Kenyans really, really want to see where all this money is going to. So even as we talk about civic education and try to understand why we borrow what we borrow, it's just all in a bid to, when you're borrowing this amount of money for, when you're saying this particular project, where is it going to? You can remember that there was a time also where there was a directive at least to cushion some Kenyans who had been hard hit by this COVID-19. The other day we saw a section of MPs also saying that some money needs to go to the vulnerable persons. But then again, these vulnerable persons will tell you, we never got any cash. So when you talk about this money, is also some, part of it cushioning the vulnerable Kenyans, which is coming in form of loans. Which Kenyans are these that are being cushioned? So when you see a good number of them asking these questions, and the 220 who have 1,000 persons who have signed the petition, it's just because they really don't see where all this money goes to. And that becomes also one of the biggest problems with most Kenyans in trying to understand why we borrow, how we borrow, and for what reasons and purpose.
Yeah, but all in all, we just have to take it that IMF has said that, you know, your money is safe, the loan is safe, and it's going to be used for all the intended purposes. So
those intended purposes.
Is the question.
The
question is.
And I would want us to go back to the IMF and what economist David Ndii said in regard to the IMF. The IMF loan, remember, this is not the first time. Do you remember the first time we had an increase in prices of fuel? Do you remember that? It was
years back?
Yes, it was part of the requirements that needed to be met then.
2011 there.
Yes, to access such a credit facility. The IMF has been asking the government to go back to the austerity measures or austerity path, and as far as finances are concerned. And trust me, we need to brace even before the presentation of the budget 2021-2022. We take a break, or rather what we say, we take a breather.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Unajisikia kupika? Quickbit tunakusort na gas cooker. Ni rahisi sana. Kupata hii gas cooker, enda kwenye quickbit.co.ke. Fuata maagizo. Kisha ekelea kodi ya gas cooker yetu ni CK. Alafu fuatanisha na unique bid yoyote ile unafikiria. CK92, CK106, CK57. Ile unafikiria amount ni shilingi 20. Ama enda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Ni rahisi sana. 4032353. Hiyo ndio paybill number 4032353. Kisha unaweka amount shilingi 20. Tunakuambia kumbuka, kwenye Quickbit ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwenye bei ya chini kwa chini.
How you doing this afternoon? Fine. How are you? I'm doing good. Even when I'm doing bad, I'm doing good. How about magnificent man?
Do you have any idea what it's like picking up the man who calls himself your father at the police station? Hi.
Ladies, do you want to go trip with me? Who is this friend you've been spending all this time with? Hey, Curtis, they're doing shopping cart. I guess I just came to talk. To me? So I could lose some of that magical happiness that you always seem to have. Feel sorry for him? No, I feel sorry for you. Oh, yeah.
Next on. Who is this person? The devil who's been messing up with our family. Does Nance know that you have these copies? No. Be very careful.
Did you?
Iko sawa?
I saw you right there with you. You were hugging him.
Nini? Wanajibu maombi ya mtu.
Kama mjakpati utanibaia ka wiki.
Ukitana ni kama ulikuwa nataka kunitumala mgede poison na mimi. Mimi nataka kumpe na gani? Ni mtu mzuri. Uko ready for witness kotini?
I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Ama basi nitume.
No!
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Kweli Nairobi ni shamba la mawe.
Why? Did someone steal your stuff?
Not just someone. A pastor. Guy, a pastor.
A pastor. He must be very smart up here.
With what money? Please.
What seems to be the problem here?
The problem is we have been complaining. We are not understanding what you are saying. And you keep insisting. Writing this down. Write what down?
Look, I'm your teacher. I'm supposed to give you only 30%. The rest comes from your own efforts. Teacher, why did you tell us to pay 100% school fees for 30% knowledge? What is missing? You said pesa zingine zinaenda wapi? Maybe we should gain for the wasted percentage.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
And another look on what is happening on our roads in terms of traffic. We are still focusing on Makupa roundabout, that is in Mombasa County. We shall also try to look at some other major roundabouts in ways in that city as well as in Nairobi. But now just let's try and see if things have changed or it is how it was. You can remember that earlier on it was just green all through, no traffic at all. But right now things have changed altogether, and this is why I keep saying all the time that traffic changes every single minute. It was just green all throughout this entire roundabout, as well as the sleep roads and some of the minor roads that branches off from this major roundabout. But clearly, as of now, things have changed, and traffic is really building up on this specific sleep road as you get to that major or main roundabout. This is actually as you leave the police station, coming all through the roundabout, but just around this area, like areas where it's either bus terminus, it's either next to a footbridge or either company and industry. This is basically what you'd expect to see on such kind of areas, simply because of some of the ongoing activities around such kind of areas. And I can tell you for sure that it is no difference on this specific one. This is just next to the police station there, and this is how it is looking like in terms of traffic. You see that red color, it just means that there's a really heavy kind of traffic moving at a very, very slow pace, and this goes all the way through, again, just before you get to that roundabout there. However, it's only on that section, and this is why I was giving you some of those other examples of such that in areas where it's either next to a police station, a bus terminus, next to a footbridge, or, you know, next to a business center with a large scale or even small scale, this is basically what you'd expect to see, simply because it's just obvious of the kind of ongoing activities on such kind of areas. On the other side, side, however, as you leave the roundabout coming through, still with the same route. This is Makupa as you head over to the city there, green all through, no traffic at all. As you get to again branch from the roundabout on one of those slip roads there, which is the Lumumba Road, still green all through on both of those lanes. And again, this is why I would say if at all you're coming from this areas going to the city, then again, this is just the best time for you to do that. Also, leaving the roundabout, still coming through Mombasa Road. Again, as you leave the Makupa roundabout, still green all through, just on some sections here and there where there's a bit of a gridlock. But again, altogether manageable kind of traffic coming to one of those other slip roads, which is the Tomboya Road, still as you leave the roundabout. Now, this is why I was telling you that this is one of those major roundabouts, simply because it branches off to either slip roads or some minor roads here and there, and this is one of them, the Tomboya Road. Again, green all through. No traffic at all. The beauty of that is that it's actually on both lanes. So again, for our viewers coming from this area intending to go to the city or just near somewhere there around Makupa, still this is the best time for you to do that. However, traffic has begun to slightly build up just right now as you leave, as you leave Mombasa Road coming through Makupa on that specific lane just before you get to the roundabout. That is just where traffic has begun to slightly build up, but altogether manageable kind of traffic. So in as much as this is one of those major roundabouts there where we really expect to see the heavy kind of traffic, just given the kind of slip roads I'm mentioning, some places, it's also because there hasn't been a lot of ongoing roadworks on this specific one, unlike what we've seen here in Nairobi on most of these roundabouts, especially the major one, where there's either been some reconstruction, expansion of some sorts. On this specific one, there hasn't really been none of that, and this is why we are seeing what you're seeing this morning in terms of traffic. And also majorly around Mombasa, there really hasn't been a lot of ongoing roadworks on most of those roads there, unlike again what you are seeing here in Nairobi. And still coming back to traffic, one of those roads there also still, as you get to branch off from that major roundabout, coming all through Makupa Road, getting to branch off to Ronald Ngala. This is where that, actually on that intersect is just where there's really heavy kind of traffic. It's unlike what we were seeing around Lumumba Road, Tomboya Road to Dor there as you leave the roundabout. On this specific one, really heavy kind of traffic coming all through just as you leave Mombasa Road, branching off to Ronald Ngala Road on that section, coming all through the same route, which is Mombasa Road, as you get to the roundabout next to the city there. So it's just like what you'd see here in Nairobi most of the times, especially on that lane that is leaving the estates, coming all through as you head over to the city. This is just still the same situation. So it clearly just shows you that on whichever part of this country you are, in the early morning hour, there's clearly a lot of activities as you head over to the city, unlike as you leave the city coming through the estates. Because again, also on this specific one, as you leave those areas, which is around the city, coming through leaving the roundabout, coming through Mombasa Road on that section, yes, in as much as there's traffic, at least it's a manageable kind of traffic, and this is so different from as how you are heading over to the city. So this is again why I would say, if at all you're coming from all these areas and places that I'm mentioning, then this is just the best time for you to do that. Because if we are seeing what we are seeing as of now, you can imagine in the next hours what we'll be seeing, the heavy kind of traffic. So yes, in as much as we are not really seeing a lot of ongoing roadworks, but clearly, you know, at least in some sections here and there, manageable kind of traffic. In some sections, the heavy kind of traffic being spotted or witnessed on some of these roads. And actually on this specific one, this is the Ronald Ngala Road, things are not changing at all. It is just the same situation there, that heavy kind of traffic. In fact, it goes all the way, all through and through. And the interesting thing is that also in this section, we really have not spotted, again, any road work. So it's so interesting to just see the kind of traffic that we are seeing there. And this is the road, this is actually the road situation on this specific route. Today we've just been keenly trying to focus on what has been happening in Mombasa city, specifically around Makupa roundabout, one of those major roundabouts, and this is why this morning we've been focusing on that specific route.
stay with us. This remains to be Good Morning Kenya. Hashtag Good Morning Kenya is what you can use on Twitter to communicate with us. And you can also tag us individually at Doreen Arange, at Victor Olo, at Rimanyara, and at Jane Wamboy. And of course, the official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. So today, tunanza things are the other way around. Usually finish with the trends, but leo tunanza na trends just after In the Headlines. And this is where we get to share with you our thoughts in regards to some of the stories that have been on both social and mainstream media, and you can always interact with us via that communication platform that I've just issued. So I want us to start with this particular story concerning the now late Albert Gasheru. Now, for many people, they just know him as Gasheru, and other people may not know him, but once you hear his hit song, the famously known Wedwa Kwa Mariro, that's when you realize, oh, that's the guy. But he was a musical legend. And let me start with you, Victor. You know, in as much as this is a different language, native language altogether, when you hear some of this traditional, and for example, let's just use this Wedwa Kwa Mariro, it's a traditional Kikuyu Benga track from a Kikuyu Benga artist. Yeah. Do you feel some of this music transcends even the language barrier that is from those classic music? They transcend the language barrier. Even if you don't understand, you get to enjoy it.
Absolutely. It's the same way as somebody who said that he enjoys dancing to rumba, for example, and he doesn't understand the language pretty well. Or let me take it back to my home ground, Ohangla, all right? Somebody who just danced to Ohangla for 8-10 minutes, you know, just dancing to the tune, but you might not understand the language. Anything. The only thing that you understand is the instruments, you know, sometimes the moves, and you get agitated and motivated by how your neighbor is dancing to the music. Yeah. You know, you just get to understand more about our diversity in terms of our music. Okay. And this is one of the music that it started way back in the years, and Gasheru, I think, has made himself a name. Yes. May he rest in peace. And of course, the music is going to live on. And you know, it goes back even to how the musicians used to do their music. It was timeless. You know, they had a story to tell that even right now, you can easily relate. You can take a storyline, compose it properly, go to the studio, and they used to do live recording. You know, they don't use the Fruity Loops nowadays. You go to the studio, after 1 hour you have a track, and then you're good to go. Those guys dedicated themselves to what they used to do. Actually, for them, it was a passion. Okay. Yeah. Now, before we get to continue, D, do you think that is an aspect of music that modern day artists don't have? The fact that, simple fact, and this is majorly when it comes to the music the language rather, that the music is communicated, the fact that modern day artists, their music does not transcend the barriers that language has, as opposed to the classics that we used to hear.
You know, when we talk about modern day artists, is a conversation that we would have, like, if I can say all the time, especially in any time we have artists here in studio, when we talk about Entertainment Thursday, you realize that a good number of artists of our day is just a question of, I want to make music, I want to be known, I want to be famous, I want to make money. When I go to the content bit, it's not really so much of what I would want to consider or think about, as long as these 4 factors are put in place. And I think that is where we get to lose it, because when you look at most of these artists from back in the day, even when they are already gone, their music still lives on. Let's not even go far so much. When you look at the likes of Kina Issa, why do we still celebrate and commemorate their deaths? Why do we still keep celebrating them even after their death? Someone like him, it's been like 10 years past, but we still jump to his music, because there was always that aspect of, I really want to focus so much on the content that even if I'm not here, you will still remember me, regardless of the tribe that this person chooses to sing this song, regardless of the genre, the style, as long as the content is put in place. And again, when you look at most of this still, again, artists from back in the day. Look at most of these weddings and most of these ceremonies. That's when actually you realize there's no Luo here, there's no Kikuyu, there's no Kamba, there's no Meru. We jam and we just want to learn the style of that particular tribe. Like, how do you sing this song? How do you dance this song? Because there's a deeper meaning to that song compared to just the beat in itself. And I think this is where we lose it. I don't know what really is happening to people of our time. You see, when someone calls us the microwave generation,
there's some truth to it.
There's some, we do not, I know you can attest to even most weddings. Like, ni wedding ya mjano lakini wimbo inachezwa hapo ya Kikuyu, you are just jamming to that song. Imagine, you know, because, and it's not because that it's a Kikuyu song, it's just because the message in it, the content, the style, just makes you just feel the music. But sasa hii asai,
I think it's just a matter of competition. Just because Jane produced a song, it was a hit.
I also want to make a song and make it a hit.
You also want to do the same. Oh, who was your producer? How long did it take you to do a track? You know, some people in the olden days, they would sit down and everybody will contribute to that particular track.
Yes.
And that is why when such kind of music is produced, man, there is some juice in it. There's some meat in it. You feel it. There was real content, and they're not competing. You know, today I'm going to appeal to a certain corporate world, so that if I have this kind of music, it's going to resonate well with that kind of, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you see, these guys, they were doing it out of passion. When you do it out of passion, my guy, everybody will understand, and your music will be timeless. So people like Gashero, they did their bit, and I am so sure that that music is going to live for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. The kind of music that transcends you as an individual. And just looking back at his life, he did rest this past Monday at the Kenyatta National Hospital. And according to his brother, is that he had been battling pneumonia for the better part of the last 2 months up until this Monday when he succumbed at the age of 59. But one thing that Gashero was known for was his steadfast, his consistent way of fighting piracy in the music industry. And this goes way back since he's joined the industry, because it is something that he experienced, which even led to him getting a lot of harassment and even threats between the periods of 1999 and 2003. And that's even the time when his studio was burnt down. And this is where all his masters were. And you know, back in the day, they used to have these huge discs as the master copies. It got to a point where his own property was now being attacked because of his fight, just trying to fight for artists. To just make sure that when artists are putting out their music, piracy is not something that they have to deal with as part of the normal way of dealing with things. And over the years, he did not rather stop because of the threats that he was receiving, in as much as he got to a point where by the time he was resting, in terms of finances, things were not looking good, because still, according to the family, they have a bill of about 5 million Kenya shillings at Kenyatta National Hospital that they're asking the public to assist with, because he even went to school to just know how he can better understand the laws that they're in to protect artists when it comes to their music and issues to do with piracy. He put himself as the sacrifice for artists.
But I think, Jane, this is something that most musicians and artists have been battling for a very long time, and that is why the Music Cooperative Society of Kenya actually have tried to help musicians against piracy, because you will produce your track today, an album, and 2 days later, you've not even, launched it online, but you'll find
somebody already
has all over,
and is earning.
Yes, so you spend probably 1,000, 15,000 shillings to produce just a track. But someone is going to pirate it and sell you the same album at 300 shillings.
And this was the same case of, his name slips my mind, this guy who sang Firirida. You know, Firirida was originally sung in 1986.
I made to understand, by the way, and you just saw that music.
Just came up there.
Up until the other day when it was trending everywhere, and the guy has not earned from it.
So sad.
Somebody took it, made a social media post with it, and it went viral. Now it became the Firirida dance challenge.
And now the guy who is now earning more. from the regional owner.
It's really something that actually a lot of artists go through. It's a problem from back in the day. It's still happening even up till now. And you'd wonder why don't some people just respect some jobs and some careers that people do? Because it looks like some people just feel, you know, it's just music, so why not? I mean, uko tu kwa muziki, we ni msanii. There's, you know, there's a lot of questions that goes around people that are in the arts that we ni msanii tu. So why not? So clearly, it's really one of those things that a lot of artists go through, and that's why, you know, a good number of them will tell you, well, then why do I even need to make an album? I'll just be doing singles here and there and leave it at that.
But it's something, this whole conversation goes back down to formalizing the industry.
Exactly.
Having structures that
taking
clearly
it also
dictate.
as serious as it needs to be taken.
Yes, and consequences therein. You know, like we have, even our industry as the media fraternity, we have governing bodies. You have a body that actually can identify with you. You have a press card that shows you are verified and you are under this body. And the event that you violate their rights, you are licensed. You are banned from being in any public speaking, and you cannot work as a journalist. Same with the medical industry. So it also goes to just formalizing the entertainment industry, having structures that guide it on a daily. May his soul continue resting in peace.
Absolutely.
As he journeys on, we do trust his music continues to live way even when his physical self is no longer with us in this world. Now, I want us to move on to another story. And he, inahappen maitamaire, it is coming again. It is happening twice. Now, this is in regards to a conversation that I came across on social media about arranged marriages versus dating to marry.
Wow.
There was a lady who gave an account of how she found herself in an arranged marriage, and it has been the most beautiful thing she has ever experienced. And the funny thing is, all the other women who are commenting there that found themselves in arranged marriages, many of them say that it is beautiful, it is good, they have good partners, they have awesome relationships. Like when you compare those who had, or rather are having bad experiences versus those who are having beautiful experiences of arranged marriages, those ones with good experiences way outweigh those ones with not so good experiences. Then there's this whole conversation of guys saying, Mimi, arranged marriage for who? Am I a commodity? I will date you before I marry you, and if I don't like you, I will not marry you. And that brought me to think, because you find the category that were in the arranged marriage group, they were most of them between the ages of 19 to 30. And this other one who wants to date before marry, average was 24, the age gap was 24 to 35. And it got me thinking, sometimes we fear arranged marriages. Of course, the fear of unknown is something that we all get to experience. But do you think we overthink it? Let me start with you, Dee.
Because I just
which one do you first of all support? Arranged marriages or dating to marry?
Me, I'll say, I'll start by saying this.
And you take a stand, Doreen, don't sit on the fence. Tangaza msimamo. Hakuna kukalia fence.
Sawa. Let me start by first saying to each one their own, kwanza. To each one their own. Because the thing about marriage is, I don't know, for different people it works differently. Just from what you're telling us, from boys, that for some who are in arranged marriages, at least a good number of them are saying that it's just working good for them. And again, also giving the demographics of the persons who are saying that compared to the ones who are saying it's not, it's also quite interesting, because again, you realize that in this time, even from that age that you mentioned, the one who want to date from 24 all through 35, ni hii age yenye unaona watu washaka kwa life kiasi, you know, you've dated like one person or two persons, so you feel like, why would I get into an arranged marriage? Taking a stand, I would say for me as a person, I'd prefer you date someone, you get to know them, you know, because I feel like there's some things you may not really want to put up with, and that is where you'll draw the line, as opposed to as opposed to when, if it is arranged for you. So for me as a person, I'd say date someone, get to know them, get to know if you really want to continue or just leave it at that. However, whatever best fits you as a person, that's what you go for. If arranged is good for you, if you're watching, go for it. Don't stick to what people are saying to you, or the skepticism or the notion or the fear of the unknown, because again, also on this other side, there's that fear of unknown, because again, you realize you may date someone for even 2 years, 3 years, but sometimes there's some things that might come up when you are in there. And if you're someone who's a proponent and a believer of marriage, you might just choose to stay. So that's why I began by saying, to each one, their own.
Their own. But let me ask you, do we still have arranged marriages?
Yes.
Yes, they still do.
Trust me,
do happen.
Very. This is something that I actually came to understand. It is happening so much. Arranged marriages and people having more than one wives. Second wives club. It is thriving.
To a point, to
Yes.
a point where some people would tell women
this
that
day
just
and
learn to
time.
live with it.
In this day and time.
It is.
But I think it would be important to date someone first.
Why?
Just as Diaz said, lazima ujue mtu baze. Lazima ujue mtu. Probably this guy, ama this lady, the only thing anajua kupika ni maji ya kuoga.
But again also,
You know, I mean, this guy cannot even, I mean, simple things like even changing a bulb, jamaa ajui. You get what I'm saying?
but you see also,
But do you think these are things you get to discover when you're dating after you're married?
No, at least you have to know someone. You fix some loose ends in the process. You know, you set your boundaries, you set the foundation properly. Then ukiingia hapo ndani, you have some
unajua
stand.
umeingia kwa nini.
Exactly. But again, some people would feel so comfortable, like, you know, Jane and Victor, you know, sasa sisi, mama yangu na mama yako na yule auntie tulikuwa tunafanya naye kitambo.
Tumejuana miaka mingi.
Tumejuana so many years mpaka tuliretire.
Najua hii familia inakuanga aje.
They are very good people. Unaona wasichana wote wameolewa. They are doing very well. Lakini hao pia, you see those guys, their father was a paramount chief. So that home is good.
Na alikuwa anajuana na babu.
Na babu kwanza walisoma na guka yagu. Weenda tu. You are going to enjoy. So, you know, it convinces you that, you know, the backgrounds of both families, everything is okay. And you see, you're being convinced properly. Mpaka unasema, hey, yeah, this thing can really work. But as you said, D, to each
their own. But again, also I've just remembered that also part of why arranged marriages work. You see, like, just the example you gave, like for example, you and Wombo. You see that family already is they already know this other family. Like it's like washakufanyia research. So also they know where you are going.
Everything has been made easy for you.
So also they know where you are going. Si pabaya sana. You know.
Hey, okay. All right. Okay. So I don't know. Jane is going to tell us whether she's in for that or
not.
Ajuane na mse kwanza ndio tuone venye tutafanya. But before then, let's just take a very short break. We'll be right back. Sitoke. Tuko tu hapo.
Arranged.
Unajisikia kupika? QuickBid tunakusort na gas cooker. Ni rahisi sana. Kupata hii gas cooker, enda kwenye quickbid.co.ke. Fuata maagizo. Kisha ekelea kodi ya gas cooker yetu ni CK. Alafu fuatanisha na unique bid yoyote ile unafikiria. CK92, CK106, CK57. Ile unafikiria amount ni shilingi 20. Ama enda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Ni rahisi sana. 4032353. Hiyo ndio paybill number 4032353. Kisha unaweka amount shilingi 20. Tunakuambia kumbuka, kwenye QuickBid ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwenye bei ya chini kwa chini. There's something wrong with her little girl. You need to calm down. I'm not leaving this hospital until I know what's wrong with my daughter.
Unfortunately, the tests confirm that she's very ill. There's currently no cure for Anna's condition.
Doctor, please, this is our little girl. Just beating. They're not giving up. Like a smother. I heard from this. Can you even hear me? This is my so you're telling me that when this baby girl fell 30 feet, she hit her head just right, and it didn't kill her, and it didn't paralyze her?
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
This is a very sure bet. I'm in Imara now at 7. I'm very sure I'll be in town by 7:30.
Just the comfort and the peace of mind you can read a book on the train.
Train iko sawa kabisa. Tumekwenda sana kabisa kwa sababu ni comfortable na bei ni rahisi sana kabisa. Very cheap.
Alhamisi saa 2:30 usiku kwenye KBC Channel 1.
Next on.
Kuna tabia nyingi sana za kusalimiana kwa mkoana. Umekuwaje lakini? Ana nini bana? Nini bana? Msemaje na mse? Sasa barabarani alafu unaniuliza nini mbaya? Ungenigonga nianguke. Ungeanguka tukuokote. Nini mbaya? Sasa msikitu raha tu mkono. Unajua mkono wako ni soft. Kaa pump. Inatoa jina. Sana nzoa. Salamu gani hizi za fujo? Ni salamu ama ni kututandika makofi na kutandika wewe? Ni salamu. Kusalimiana kwa aina hiyo ni ungwana kweli?
Welcome back. We are glad you are still with us. Acha niongee kidogo before floor manager wetu hapa Fadhili apunguze sauti ya speaker ndio mwache kudisikia twice. Yeah. There we go. Amecheza kama yeye.
Ongeza sauti.
Amecheza kama yeye. We're still on the trending topics segment and just looking at this particular story in regards to arranged marriages versus dating to marry, and especially in this day and time. And of course, basing on these two examples, on this particular example that I did give here of this lady giving her account of arranged marriage, beautiful thing she has ever experienced, a young lady at that, versus this whole conversation of dating to marry. And personally,
Tuambie. You are on which
I have
side?
always been from this school of thought that you date to marry. Okay? Even though ninaamini inafaa kukua. And I was just sharing with you guys about the article that I did read about from a marriage psychologist who say who you date and who you marry are two completely different persons in as much as it is the same person. When you are dating, there's this whole love bombing phase. Unafanyiwa everything right. Opens the door for you. As the lady, unampikia chakula, unaenda unatafuta ka menu, mkienda date, you're on your best behavior, you present your best self. Lakini once you get married, si tumeoana.
Lakini
Ala,
sasa
si tumeoana. Nitashinda nikiwa na makeup kila wakati.
Sasa mimi
Nitashinda nimevaa hiyo corset ndio uone kakiuno kangu kanatoshana aje. Nitashinda nimechana nywele hivi ndio uone ninakaa vizuri kila saa. No. Two completely different people dating and after marriage.
Yes.
And that is why you find so many marriages breaking. Because Kenya liona akasema wala la 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 la. Oh, you girl them ama you man them nimepata kitu. And then they don't prepare themselves mentally for once we start living together, what does that mean?
But Jane,
they don't have room for take it a day at a time. Venye nakuja iko, you accept it. Uko na tu ile reservations. Yani udem. Sijai muona bila makeup. Hadi kuna mtu, I'm not gonna, okay, can't give that example. But it was in regards to a young man saying, I'm a date for like 5 years and he's never had the girl fart in his presence.
But doesn't that go to that aspect of realness?
That's what I'm telling you. Who you date and who you marry
this person
are two different people.
You know,
let me just finish, Victor.
Yeah.
As opposed to arranged marriages. Kenye umepata ndio umepata vinyo umepata. Ye merime. Simerishika.
Kenye umepata?
Kenye umepata ndio umepata vile ulipata.
Sawa msanii. Msanii wewe ni msanii.
Hapo hauna something to compare to. You don't have a previous version to compare to. And I think that is also one of the reasons as to why some of these arranged marriages are thriving, because they don't have a previous experience with this particular person to compare. In as much as I'm not saying that all arranged marriages thrive, wanajuana hapo ni from ground zero, tumeoana leo. So, kenye umepata ndio umepata.
Yeah.
Nayo.
But
there's no room for pretense.
Jen, mine is just so simple.
Yeah.
I today say, you know what, D, this is it. Or Jane, this is it. It's so simple. The way you present yourself, how real are you? There's something D amesema. How genuine are you? How authentic are you? You know, there's something called Raul's veil of ignorance. That's why the moment watu wako kwa wedo, unafunga that veil, sindio?
Yes.
Then that veil is meant to cover up whatever you're just about to see. That's what most people do. Anytime you're meeting somebody for the first time, or you're going on a date, or you're still dating, anava that veil. The moment you get married, now you settle down, sasa anatoa that veil. Now you see the real person, whatever is underneath that veil, all right? Then unaanza kusema, this is not the person I was dating 2, 3, 4 years ago. This is not D, this is not Jane. Victor, kwa nini siku hizi unaikanga socks vinyo unataka? You know, you no longer open the doors for me, you no never
because
call
you're
me.
comparing.
You get what I'm saying? But when you're just genuine, the foundation that you set your relationship on from the word go determines how it's going to be. If you're genuine, and by the way, this is just open.
Yes.
If you're going to settle for marriage, you just have to compromise so many things about yourself. Okay? Ambia tu Victor, unajua mimi, I snore at night.
Nanguruma.
Ama mwambie saizi nakufungulia mlango, but you see, you also understand that some things that you do in dating may not carry on. Because again, you guys evolve, you guys start
things
getting
change.
this. That's why someone said, first of all, it is important for you guys to be friends. Because also when you're friends, at least you get to understand that some of these things hazitakuwa pale pase.
Actually, the keyword is friendship, because sometimes love usually fade. You know, but friendship, you feel like mazeni mekosa beshte yangu. You know, you just want to say, you know what, pole iko hivi.
Utaamka kila siku ukipenda huyu mtu.
But there is that friendship that you cannot do without this person. Because you're friends. But the love inaweza fika sometimes of you too, like sasa huyu ndo nilipenda. You know, you ask yourself, but he's a good friend. You know, he's by my side, he's seen me during my low moments. Anytime I fall, he's by my side and aniinua, niki-triumph, pia ako hapo na makofi zake. So that's what our friends for. So anyway.
That's when it goes back to choosing to be with that person.
It's a deliberate choice.
And let me just read for you some responses that came from that conversation. This young lady, I'm not going to be mentioning names because this personal handles. She says that mimi kuanzia leo I am open to arranged marriages. Zile vitu boy child amenionyesha huku, I refuse.
Tricky situation.
This now comment is from a gent saying, ladies, you need to learn to stop giving boyfriends husband privileges. Okay?
That's quite debatable.
Yes.
That's quite debatable.
Aya mwingine anasema, there is no way I would marry someone who I have not known. Arranged marriages to the left.
That's
the door. Huyu anasema, hataki mambo ya arranged marriages. Mwingine anasema, in this day and time, arranged marriages should be a thing of the past. Everyone has the freedom to choose who they want to be with. You cannot force someone into marriages, and this is something parents need to understand and respect. Okay? Mwingine anasema, honestly, arranged marriages thrive because they are not complicated by previous experiences that we have seen when dating. I do support it, but I am not for it.
Just what you are saying, boy.
Yes.
But then the question is, you know, the issue of arranged marriages, in the olden days it used to happen.
Yeah.
Unasikia tu kadema kameenda kuleta maji mtoni, the only thing you find next ni ndoo, imeachwa hapo, and she's gone. Okay? Ama unasikia umeenda kutafuta auntie wako. That's what they usually used to do. You go and visit your auntie, kumbe something has been organized on the other end.
Something is cooking.
Something is cooking. Where ukienda umeenda. But at this time and age, is there any parent who is ready to release her daughter or his son to go and visit an auntie or an uncle, and then all of a sudden unasikia Jane is gone, ama D is gone?
I think it's just...
The way you people have a lot of questions to ask. So, unaishi wapi? Unafanya? Okay. When do you kuona? All right.
Una rafiki yako?
Wow. Unanunua viatu wapi?
Well, dynamics are shifting, yes.
Things
but
are
again,
changing.
Things are changing, but also there are still those that really hold that. You know, that for them it's really very important because of the same reason which I was saying earlier on. At least if familia na hii kuna vile wanajuana to a point that even they know this girl of ours akienda huko, we know where she's going. We know where Vic is going. Like we have done so much research on your behalf that we know where you are going. So yes, in as much as things are shifting and, you know, dynamics are changing here and there, but still, each their own.
You know, my grandma used to tell, we just buried her over the weekend, and may she rest in peace. My grandma used to tell us that during their days, somebody would be sent, a detective would be sent somewhere for like even a month. Amekaa tu, you wouldn't even know who is this person.
Kuchunguza tu.
Amekaa sasa na kwenyu.
Anachunguza hiyo boma vizuri sana. It's called an advanced team. Amekaa tu mkutuka.
Scouting, ameenda reke.
Yes, ameenda reke vizuri. So anataka kujua msichana. Anajua kwenda kuleta kuni huko ndani. Does she know how to cook? You know, yani you are being asked so many questions. Do we
research again?
Research. Kuna detective mazee amecamp kwa village for like 2 months. By the time wewe unakuja kuchukuliwa, it's a done deal, it's sealed, and you pia, the other side kwa mwanaume, there is another mazee, detectives wako huko, DCIs wamecamp. By the time unaingia na hivyo unasema, yeah, now that was it. But say what usually happens, you meet somebody in Nairobi on the streets, like, tuingie hapa tukunywe chai, No, and life goes on, so things are changing.
As we close this segment, I am slowly learning to be open-minded.
All right.
And appreciating that actually arranged marriages can work. Even dating to marry can work. It's all a choice you make. And understanding that it's not just about love. Love is what may have brought you together, but what will sustain it.
True.
In that moment that you feel you don't love this person, are you truly in love with them to overcome what you're going through?
Wow, that's a valid point from Boy, by the way.
Ukisikia harufu ya mdomo yake asubuhi, utakumbuka I am in love with this person. Akingorota usiku huwezi lala.
Jen.
Utakumbuka when you're in love with this person.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point that you're making, Mamboy. Are you in love with this person or do you just love them?
If you like the bed warm, na yeye anapenda ikiwa kabaridi. Would you take time to understand I am in love with this person but saizi ananiudhi?
That's why I talk about friendship.
Yes.
You know, you have to tolerate someone. You know, when you're in a relationship, when you're married to someone, genuinely married to someone, kuna vitu zingine you have to compromise because snoring is a natural kind of you know, response.
But what if you're a light sleeper?
Apana.
Ili hata kate nikisonga.
Aspect of compromise comes there.
Compromise, you know.
Are you willing to take some of these things that this person is doing?
That brings us to a close of trending topics, and it's something that we need to start thinking of as young people, by the way.
Yes.
Because we are getting to that age, at least this group of ours here, where we are settling down with our families, and you're learning as you go. So as you make these choices, be open-minded. If arranged marriages you feel zinaweza, wacha nitafutiwe niletewe tuendelee, cheza kama wewe. If you want to date, to marry, cheza kama wewe, but understand, either you have to be intentional, make the choice, remember why you are with them. In that moment that you don't feel love, remember, jite kamoshemanio. That brings us to a close of Trending Topics. Thank you so much for interacting with us. I'll be sampling your views in a bit. But then again, we have more discussions coming up in a bit. It being Entertainment Thursday, to corner music. We have artists coming through, which will be coming up in a bit. So stay with us as we get some music before we get to the discussions.
Where's that music?
Ukinicheki tuna demu na perepe, unadhani mimi nitampa sekete. Ukicheki demu na perepe, unataka tu kumpa sekete. Niwe my love, love, love. Baby unahanya, you're not my love, unahanya. Oh baby, my heart dem lido. You're such a liar, show me the blood. Liar, 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 you're such a liar.
Welcome back to the program. Time for our entertainment conversation this morning, being Entertainment Thursday. Now, today we just want to focus mostly on how artists are or how they need to use the digital platform, at least to continue staying relevant, given the containment measures that mostly also affect people in the entertainment space. And on set, I'm joined by Cool Malk. Sindio? Msanii mwenyewe.
Nasema msanii mwenyewe ama msanii baba yao?
Wasanii tuna ma-highlights.
Gani?
Wewe una highlights?
Okay.
Wewe basi hiyo baba yao. Unajua ni part of those two highlights wasanii wako sangi.
Okay, si unajua hii Kenya kila mtu anaweza sema once wewe ni parent, wewe ni baba. Yeah. So ukiwa na watoto wengi ni wewe ni baba yao. Right now unajua Cool Malk hapa niko na The King Empire. So The King Empire kuna wase wangu ambapo mimi ni baba yao. So that's how I meant it.
Ukisema like by the wase wengi, is this in the sense of watu una mentor, you know, watu you are growing with, ama basically what is it?
Okay, to be honest, right now kuna unaona venye saizi situation ziko, unapata jobs ziko, alafu kuna wase wako na talent. Na kuna venye wanaweza pata doa ya kwenda studio recording, video, kila kitu. So unapata like now nimekam na idea, me and my team. I have a good team every time, and then wanakuanga behind my back. Tumeanza The King Empire ambapo tunataka kusaidia wale wasanii wajiwezi. Mtu ako na talent, unaona umse anaweza imba hata kunishinda, but ajiwezi kifedha, kimapato. Unapata hata in a situation where artist anaweza tembea kutoka place fulani akuje studio distance refu sana, Joanna hata bus fare. So kitu ile The King Empire is about in like tunataka saa hii wale wasanii wajiwezi tunawachukua, tunawaingiza The King Empire, then tunawa record, tunawashutia video, tunawasukumia muziki, then hivyo tu ndio tunataka tusaidie wasanii. So unaona right now I have 2 artists and my team, so unajua like that's why I'm calling myself baba yao, because I'm managing 2 artists under my empire, which is The King Empire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he empire ulianza when? Is it when COVID really hit, ama it was there even before that?
You see, I had this plan before COVID hit.
Yeah. So that was before even last year?
Hii ni plan ilikuanga tu hapo. So unajua venye COVID ilikam, niliona hii kitu ili affect watu wengi, hata me personally ni affect. So unajua niliona sana venye na struggle. So nilikuwa na imagine like kama mimi naweza struggle hivi and me at least I have something kidogo, but how about ule mtu ana completely? Because kuna wasanii wengine wanakuja mpaka DM yangu imejaa hivi, je, wasanii wale chipukizi.
Na wasanii by the way they're really suffering a lot.
Sana. I love, that's why mimi naweza sema hiyo kitu nilikuwa nasema wasanii wanapenda highlights. Mimi naweza advise wasanii usipende. Because unajua kuna time umesema pale ulikuwa wapi alafu unapatikana kwa ukao unatembea along the road hivi unaenda home, jua una bus.
Inakuwa tricky.
Ni tricky, hata unajiaibisha wewe mwenyewe. That's why unaona wengine wana commit suicide.
Yeah, but and actually that's something that we will talk about in a bit as we continue. Kwanza hiyo part ya commit suicide. Yeah. But again, in as much as hii ilikuwa plan you had even before COVID. Yeah. But also I want to believe ulianza at that time when, you know, we were really hard hit by COVID. And unasema you have at least 2 artists who you are managing. Yeah. So does it mean that you also plan to take in more artists? And which criteria are you using? Because again, tunasema a lot of artists by the as of now, I can tell you for a fact, regardless of whichever field you are as an artist, wasanii wanasafa sana. So which criteria are you using to pick? Kuseme by the huyu, wacha akae kwa hii empire, wacha nimsaidie, let me see how they can move with their music and all that.
Okay, first, unajua mi ile kitu ile plan yangu ni hivi, like saizi kuna wasanii niko na wawili, na reason why nilipick wasanii wawili because of their patience.
Okay.
Because unajua ni ile wasanii pia au wenyewe wana feel, wanaona wenyewe tumefanya song ijatoka ama ishatoka, but umse anajaribu venye nawe anaweza. Because unajua right now unaona hata saizi hatuwezi shoot toka nje kushoot video, alafu unaona Nairobi yetu imekuwa ndogo, pia wase watakikane wakuwe wengi because of COVID. So unapata hata place ile mnaweza enda mshoot video ampati juu ya iyo lockdown and everything.
Is a restriction.
Sorry. Yeah. So alafu sasa unapata sahi ile plan ilikuwa nayo ni pate artist kama 5. If I get 5 artists.
For this period?
Not for this period, for like for entire period naweza sema hata 10. Ile Mungu ataniletea.
Ile Mungu ataniletea.
But for now like ile nilikuwa nataka tu like within the end of this year nipate kama watano the best of the best, because unajua ukipata the best of the best and pia hao wataona ile hard work you are putting on them, umewaweka mbele instead of you, and yet you pia ni artist, so umewaweka wasukume wafike pale ushafika. Unajua mi at least nimepiga step 2-3 mbele, au wako zero kabisa, totally zero. So unapata wase ile kitu mimi naweza waambia hata kwa wenye wana watch, hata nikikuchukua, patience is all I like, because once uko na patient pia mimi nitasikia vizuri sana juu with pressure I work, because unajua right saizi tuko na pressure ya COVID and anger at the same time. So ukiniambia like Kulmalk, nataka ngomini likingia hapa, ulinichukua kwanza, you signed me first, nataka unisukume, wewe unasukuma kazi yako, mimi huwezi nisukuma wae. Mimi nataka tule msee anani understand, because right now I have my kid bro who was the first artist. Yeye pia alisainiwa because pia yako na talent. Yeye ndio saizi hata tuko naye kwa hii ngoma yangu mpya. Yeye pia ndo nasukuma, na ni venye tu sasa COVID inaharibu everything, we can't walk with him everywhere where I go. Anaitwa Bari. So yeye ndio artist wa kwanza ile nilidesign nataka kufanya nayo collab ka 3.
Okay.
Before I release song yake. So natoa naye hizo collab 3. After kutoa naye hizo collab 3, then ndio nikishaona ameshika rada, naweza mwachia ngoma yake moja. Yeye ashafanya ngoma ka 3 zile ziko sawa.
Na sasa kuna ngoma yako pale on air inacheza hapa, na you'll be telling us at least about it in a short while. But I also want us to at least talk just a bit about that aspect of patience, because unasema for you that is one of the things that is key, but also una realize wasanii wengi sana, and again this just cuts across, that is one of the things that always misses. Where, like, from your perspective, and also just again from the people that you've picked na pia wale that you'll pick even moving forward, ni nini una feel wasanii wanafaa wafanye at least to uphold patience? Because again, it's not an easy thing to uphold. Because when you look at this time when there's so much happening, people are just tired, angry.
Like what I can say, sisi wasanii tuko na shida moja.
Shida gani inakwanga wasanii?
Ni shida ile ya unajua okay ndio wewe ni kioo ya jamii.
Yes.
But usiwache hiyo kitu ingie kwa akili yako wewe ni kioo ya jamii. In a certain way mpaka unadharau jamii. Unaona? So unaona patience inakuanga hapa pale, unapata wasanii wengine wanacommit suicide juu unaona leo amekuja hapa na hii koti. Hii koti maybe nimeomba. Mwenyewe ataivaa pale pengine. Nasema si ndio koti Kulmalk amekuwa amevaa pale. So unapata huyu msee analeta. Si
watu wanajua cool lakini hawajui mtu aliomba hiyo koti.
So unajua bala aweke tu kitu simple, naweza nunua hii, mtu anunue the same kama hii. Unaona? Akwena but yeye anataka kujifunga. Hana pesa ya kukula na anataka avae mzuri, ahae gari ya kuja na hapa impress na watu wakiingia. Unaona vitu kama hizo. For example mimi leo nimekimbia na nduthi nikikuja hapa. Na si ati sina gari, niko nayo hata nimeacha kwa parking. But sasa unajua si lazima, hata msee amenibeba ni msee ameni-notice. Akaniambia buda, sina kujua wewe mko kama msanii.
Nakuonaga kwa TV.
Nikamwambia mimi ni hustler wa kawaida. So unapata like hii kitu ile wasanii wajai jikubali who they are. Accept who you are first.
Yes.
And alafu angalia background zako pale umetoka na pale unaenda. Kuna wasanii washa make it. They have billions and millions.
Who can live that life?
They can live that life without even faking it. Ni msee ule hata traffic jam ikikuwa huge, instead ya kuchukua nduthi kama mimi, anaita chopa, inamchukua hapo, inampeleka pale na faenda. But unapata msee, traffic imegonga, amehaya gari, anangojwa huko pia time inaenda. So unapata amekuwa confused mbaya sana. Mpaka bidii aingize mauongo zingine azisaidie.
Zenye ziko.
Alafu ile analai cheaply. Analai ile deeply ile unaweza convince msee anasema ukweli. Analai ile. So wasanii ile shida tuko nayo ni ile pesa ile tunapata tunaiharibu kwa sherehe na vitu zingine hazisaidii. Manguo unaweza kuwa nazo mingi venye unaweza, but ukiangalia vizuri sana ukae chini ugeuke hivi kwa drawer wako angalie hizi manguo zinanisaidia na nini zote. At the end of it tutapeana kwa mtu ama utaziuza. And saa zile unaziuza at a low rate. So for example hii koti nilibuy 3000. Saa zile naiuzia kwa msee ndio niuze haraka juu sina do, nitauza 1000 ama 500.
Hiyo at a very low rate.
Exactly. So ile shida ile tunakuwa nayo wasanii ni kufake life. Ile life tuna live ndio tuna fake. Alafu unapata ukipata pesa kidogo hivi, kidogo tu si hata mingi. Like a million uko nayo kwa account. Inakuwasha tuwezi lala.
Unaona tu sasa ushaomoka na mshani na kwa TV.
Uwezi lala na uko kwa TV every day.
Mnanijua.
So ile advice ile naweza fuata ambia wasanii for now like hii COVID imefundisha vitu mob sana, especially mi kama artist nimeona zile siku anaweza jua, naweza ona, because unapata right now zile savings ulikuwa una do ama zile ma projects ulikuwa una do ama zile side hustling ulikuwa umeinvest ndio size zinasaidia. Juu ukipata club zote zimefungwa, gathering yoyote imefungwa, hakuna place unaweza enda upige show, hakuna place ile unaweza chukua wasee nini online, ile thing ile unasema siku hizi kuna DJ Kenya, DJ Aspora ile wasema DJs uenda hapo DJ, ukienda weka namba yako hapo, mimi nitawatch namba yako, kama niko na roho mzuri kama hii yangu nitakutumia kiso 2 so 3. Kuna wase wengine watawatch wanasema si ni DJ wacha akulie hiyo DJ yake, si hata mimi na hustle. So unapata saizi life imekuwa hard, na hii life imekuwa hard sana, ndio inafaa pia sisi wasanii to learn sana. Ukipata 20,000 weka 15 somewhere, 5 fanya na shughuli yako, unaona, ndio ikiumana uko na place unaweza anza kitu, unaweza anza nayo, ama place unaweza kimbilia haraka haraka instead ya kuanza kupapayuka nini. And hii ndio place utapata hii COVID ikiisha ama our president akifungua nchi, utapata artist wako na deni mingi sana, because life imefika pali
mtu amekopa,
pesa imeisha, sasa inabidi akope ama peane vitu zake. Unaweza pata kama for example uko na gari, umepeana gari huko loan, unaona vitu kama hizo. So unapata saizi ndio artist watasafa zaidi, si ati wanasafa, hawajaanza kusafa.
So even afterwards itakuwa even worse compared to
imefungwa tu like 1 week 2 weeks ago
again.
So if kama tuseme COVID ikikuwa hard sana hit ile sana, tuende mpaka December, how will it be?
How will it be? But again, also when you talk about that aspect of patience, una realize pia kuna hii what you called extra pressure from society. Na unapata again most artists, hiyo ndio kitu pia they do not know how to deal with just the way we are saying, nishatoa ngoma kaa 2 kaa 3 ama maybe niko na album but bado sija make to that extent, but mnanijua mnaniona kwa TV, kuna tu ile pressure inakuanga pale. Do you feel like inakuanga either inakuanga an internal pressure mtu amejipea then ana think ni society, ama inakuanga always the society? Because a lot of artists, that is a route that most of them have actually gone through.
To be honest, let me just put it this way.
Yes.
Hiyo pressure ipo.
Iko. Kwa hivyo it's very real.
Iko hiyo pressure, na hii pressure ni wewe mwenyewe unajipa.
Si society.
Si society. Ni wewe. Because unajua, let me be honest, unaweza pitia pale kwa society, upate wase hata they don't care about you.
They don't even, wanakuonanga tu but that's all.
Wanakuonanga tu that's all. Hata naweza kusalimia hi the king, hivyo tu story imeisha. But wewe hapo, na wewe ndio star imekuingilia, unaona umse lazima nione hivi. Unaweza pata msanii anaingia kwa nyumba, katoka pale anaenda kwa duka kuchukua soda, anachukua na nguo tofauti, akitoka star zingine tena amedunga look nyingine, akirudi nao pale ndio umse asione ameisha. Hiyo ni pressure wewe mwenyewe unajipatia. Unafaa tu jimane, jujue tu huyu ni binadamu kama mimi. The only difference we tuko nayo hapa ni mimi ni msanii, niko na kipaji, naweza imba, yeye haezi, ama pia yeye anaweza imba lakini hajapata hiyo opportunity niko nayo.
Hajapata hiyo platform yenye uko nayo.
Exactly. So unapata like mimi natoka hapa naanza kujipa pressure, na ile pressure napatia na ni ile like nataka wase wajue mimi ni msanii. Hata kama nitakuwa na microphone ama loudspeaker na waambia mimi ni msanii, lazima wajue. Trust me, nimeenda Coast, kuna likes of Dogorichi, my friend. Dogorichi anaishi kwa estate ile, kila mtu kwake ni kama brother. Anaweza toka hapa inge kwa umse, ambia umse ni aje bro, nisaidie na chumvi hapa. Yani ile
nani Dogorichi? Nani
Dogorichi? Si hata ile ati kile anaogopa mpaka namuuliza Buddha, siwe ni msanii? Anambia Buddha, these are my brothers. Watu tumegrow up nao, wananijua since utotoni. Na amejiweka kwa maisha ingine, hana pressure. Unaona? Na ni msanii mkubwa, hata mimi nilianza kusikia Dogorichi back then. Like
na ni msanii anaweza ishi hivyo na watu. Kuna
producer mwingine tena anaitwa MED. Ni producer mkubwa, wasanii wale ulikuwa unawasikiza wa Mombasa wakina Alibi nani wale wa kitambo. MED amewafanyia kazi, but unapata ana mingle na watu, yani ameweka watu close, amejenga ile relationship in a certain way. They don't see him as an artist, they see him as a brother. Unaona? Wengine wanamuona as a father, wengine wanamuona as a yani a mentor. So unapata hata saa zile naongelesha mwanangu, ukipata pesa kidogo mwanangu, siharibu pesa hivi, usionyeshe watu uko nayo, fanya tu vitu nafanya na hizo vitu zitakusaidia. And that's hata mimi nilisemanga maisha yangu nikiweka, those who really knows me wakikutana na mimi hata hapa sahi watanigota ni aje Daking hivi. Na kuna watu wale wananiona kwa TV watasema huyu msee anakaa msee mwingine mbaya nini. Yet they don't know venye mi walk ama venye mi roll ama venye mi ufanya biashara zangu. Hata hapa KBC naweza sema kuna watu wachache wananijua deeply kabisa, ambapo wakinipata hata niko works baadaye aona garage, motor vehicle garage, wakinipata hapo niko na wasee tunafanya job, hata sitaki mchezo. Unasema Buda, yani unakonga hivi sasa. Ngambia Buda, nisipofanya hii job hiyo usanii hata unaona hapa haiwezi lipa vitu zote unaona nafanya ama niko nazo. Unaelewa? So the only thing naweza ambia wasanii, wacha kujipa pressure. Toa pressure kwa mdomo yako, kwa mwili yako, everywhere, in your mind everywhere. Kuwa mtu wa jamii. Wacha watu wa estate wakupende venye uko. Watu wa nje wakupende venye uko. Hata kama si mzuri wa kuone everyday, watakudharau, lakini once kuwa kwa matatu, salimia watu, tembea na matatu ukienda home.
That again is another thing that actually we'll talk about later. But also unasema that pressure haikuangi from society per se the way we want to think about it, because again you realize you blame sana society.
No.
Ati ndio imeniwekea hii pressure, haitaki nipande mata, haitaki nifanye hii. Kumbe it's actually you as a person.
Let me ask you something. Saizi mimi as an artist naenda kupanda mat, wewe unanijua. Unaweza nikataza nisipande mat? Na mimi nataka kupanda mat.
Na ni wote ajilipia.
Na mimi ndio najilipia. The only thing ungeniambia, Daking umepanda mat, ni aje, sasa mimi naona fare yangu iko sorted. Na to be honest, kama tuko naye hapo kani kuna kitu kidogo nitakwambia, sawa acha nitakulipa. Na kasi na nakwambia tu face to face, Buda, nilikuwa tu naso. Next time nitakulipa.
Anata maseleb pia ulak.
No, kila mtu lak. Tu si lazima nikuwe na. Unajua ukimuongelesha vizuri ataku understand. And hapo by the way mkikaa kwa hii side uko hii side, mnapiga story mkienda. Juu kuna vitu zingine angependa kujua about wewe, why unapanda ma3, anakuonanga tu kwa gari nini, maybe saa zingine hajai kukuona completely. Leo amestuka amekupanda kwa ma3. Unajua hata kifika home itakuwa plus kwako kuza kifika home atapigia watu story akisema mazee leo nimekuwa na Daking kwa matatu.
Na amenifanyia ABC.
Na amenifanyia ABC na kuna mtu akujui Daking ni nani. Ndio huyu kwa YouTube, unaingia hapo YouTube anakuangalia umeadd plus pale view, amesubscribe nini mabestake, alafu mkabuild friendship hapo kidogo. So yeye ni fan wako. Jua naona wewe ni humble, loyal. But ukianza ati siwezi panda ma3, unajifungia kwa nyumba. Yani uwezi toka nje, mini celeb nini.
Now hold it just right there. I want us to take a very quick break, but when you return, we now look at how digital platform is really playing a key role to help those in the entertainment space to at least continue furthering their careers and to stay afloat in this difficult time. Stay with us.
Unajisikia kupika? QuickBid tunakusort na gas cooker. Ni rahisi sana kupata hii gas cooker. Enda kwenye quickbid.co.ke, fuata maagizo, kisha ekelea kodi ya gas cooker yetu ni CK. Alafu fuatanisha na unique bid yoyote ile unafikiria, CK92, CK106, CK57. Ile unafikiria amount ni shilingi 20. Ama enda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa, ni rahisi sana. 4032353. Hiyo ndio paybill number 4032353. Kisha unaweka amount shilingi 20. Tunakuambia kumbuka, kwenye QuickBid ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwenye bei ya chini kwa chini.
There's something wrong with our little girl. You need to calm down. I'm not leaving this hospital until I know what's wrong with my daughter.
Unfortunately, the tests confirm that she's very ill. There's currently no cure for Anna's condition.
Doctor, please. This is our little... Yeah. I'm scared.
Me too.
We're not giving up. Like a smile bell.
We heard from this.
Might only have one mouth.
Can you even hear me?
Can you This is my favorite sound. Take back my life.
So you're telling me that when this baby girl fell 30 feet, she hit her head just right, and it didn't kill her, and it didn't paralyze her?
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
is a very sure bet. I'm in Imara now at 7. I'm very sure I'll be in town by 7:30.
Just the comfort. The comfort and the peace of mind you can read a book on the train.
Train iko sawa kabisa. Tumekanda sana kabisa kwa sababu ni comfortable na bei ni rahisi sana kabisa. Alhamisi saa 2:30 usiku kwenye KBC Channel 1.
Next on.
Naomba kidogo.
Basi hata huyo mume alisema hivyo hivyo, alafu akamfanya hivi. Akamuuliza tena, waala bebi.
Bebe nitaona vipi wewe unampiga macho hivi?
Basi hata huyo mume hata hivyo hivyo. Wewe mimi utajingua wewe. Hebu toka na ujozi kuna wenyewe, wasikia wewe? Huku kuna wenyewe. Saa zako ni saa 5 mpaka saa 6 unusu. Umesikia? Nilizopenda hizo.
Na nikipenda nimependa, ile mradi tushimana, usiku wanijia kwa ndoto, mahaba moto moto, malavi sio utoto, nahisi nimeshashinda loto, kuwa nawe mtoto, kwenye baridi joto, na kwa hili nitakuwa nawe, nishibe, una deni la moyo wangu, si tuko biza daily, nahitaji time ya, nataka nikushike japo one time, one time, unitulize roho yangu one time, one time, unitoke ghetto one time, one time, nikupe ladha laki like side one time, one time, one time. Nyako I'm in love, give me dwaro ami. Chunya pongi marka kilunga ganyinga. Aero kakilunga gani da. Aero kakilunga gani ba. Aero kakilunga gani baby. Oh la la la. Aero kakilunga gani da. Aero kakilunga gani ba. Aero kakilunga gani baby. Oh la la la. Nishibe. Una deni la moyo wangu, si tuko biza daily, nahitaji time ya, nataka nikushike japo one time, one time, unitulize roho yangu one time, one time, one time, unitoke ghetto one time, one time, nikupe ladha laki like side one time, one time, one time, adundo ayudo eboma, adwaro atere edala, ong'eyo e mama gi baba, otedo na kuoni go muogo, oluoko na koda ga sende, okado na koda ga wiye, omoso nyithindo matindo, nyithindo go here kabisa. 1, 2, baby I like you. 3, 4, baby I love you. Would you come and stay with me? Say 1, 2, baby I like you. 3, 4, baby I love you. Would you come and stay with me? Nishibe, una deni la moyo wangu, si tuko biza daily, nahitaji time ya, nataka nikushike japo one time, one time, unitulize roho yangu one time, one time, one time, unitoke ghetto one time, one time, nikupe ladha laki like side one time, one time, one time.
All right, So what you're listening right now, listening to that is One Time, the latest song from Cool Mouth. Able to tell me a bit about that song, by the way. No, it can be watched by everyone.
Ni song tu ile nilidedicate maisha yangu yote nifanye. Yani I just want to be a clean dude.
Releasing clean content.
Yeah, I just want to bring, I just want to put something that hata nikikufa itabaki nasikizwa. Like ukisikiza ngoma zingine kama ngoma za Isa zile za kitambo. Ni ngoma Isa alikufa miaka zingine hata siwezi.
But imagine when tunamuongea saa hizi, you'd think
ngoma yake ati utaweza stuka kwa hapa mpaka sasa.
Yeah.
So right now niliona najua life is short.
Yes.
Na people are dying left and right. And I don't know siku yangu itafika lini. So nilisema tu I rather nikienda niache something nice back.
Something would remember you.
Yeah, kitu ile hata nikikufa like 10 years nasikia inachezwa na smile pale nimelala. Nasema ndio.
Unaona, actually I made an impact during my
job
time.
Kumbe time yangu siku waste sana. Because unapata like venye nilitoa Zigo, Zigo was a nice song. But the video nilikuwa na shida kidogo ya mavazi na some private parts.
A bit explicit.
Yeah, kitu kama hiyo. So alafu nikatoa Utaniwa, which at least tulikuwa na maproducer wangu, tuliargue, but at least tulikam na something. It was not that clean, but at least we tried.
It was somewhere there.
But this one, at least one time, sasa at least tumejaribu ikakuwa clean. And to be honest, the first person to congratulate me on this video, mpaka kasema mazee umeimprove tu sana, was DJ Joe Mfalme. In fact, aliona video before hata nimtumie, akanikola akaniambia, bro, nakwambia for free this time round umefanya kazi. Nikamwambia thank you.
So people really want clean content.
Yeah, ndio.
Nini basi you to mess up tuna feel like unajua this explicit videos when you see the ladies half naked dressed in some sort of way, hizi ndo vitu zina sell. But unasema hata big brands wanakuambia yenyewe after hii ngoma this was something good.
Unaona kitu ile si kitu imeingia kwa mentality ya hii generation. Sasa hiyo tumeacha nyuma kidogo. Si yangu nimewacha nyuma kidogo. Na si sana na si kwa ubaya, ni kwa upole tu. Kuna kitu imeingia kwao wakijionyesha uchi yao nusu, ndio hiyo kitu itasell. That's the urembo wako nayo. But kuna kitu moja wajui, unaweza fanya tu kitu simple na iende far than ufanye kitu complicated ambapo hata unajua your parents should be your number one fan. Na ukipata mama yako anakaa anasikiza ngoma yako hivi alafu anarudi anaanza kuimba wimbo za church at the same time ngoma yako ikiplay, message gani anakutumia as a parent? Inamaanisha umefanya kitu kingine si mzuri. Fanya something ile hata babako na mamako wakika chini wana watch na wewe, budaka atakugonga I'm proud of you. Unaona,
in as much as ni
secular na anasema I'm proud of you. Mpaka kudanganya hata hapo. Pia mimi nilikuwa natamani niimbe, but you are representing me. So unaona kitu kama hiyo, kitu ile safi. So one time the song first ilikuwa about missing somebody in a certain way that unataka tu kimuona umguze tu one time ama umhug tu one time na you are fully complete. So that's hiyo ndio nilika down nikaona si mimi peke yangu miss watu. Wanaume wengi sana umiss watu, hata wademu wana miss watu, but hakuna venye wanaweza ambianga mtu na kumiss.
Yeah, kuna vile expression.
Yes. So kuna venye tu anaweza, kuna uoga anaweza kwa nao, but akikutumia hii ngoma through this music, listening to the lyrics, amepass message because unaona tu anasema nataka nikushike ujapo one time, na saa zingine uko kwenyu na kwenyu si mbali na kwao but ukikuja tu anataka tu akuone one time. So one time is about missing somebody. It's about love, ile una miss somebody na unampenda na unaona tu ile unamchocha, yani kumchocha. So that's all about one time, which tulishoot in Kilifi before curfew. Tukishoot in
good to clarify
before curfew. Na nilikuwa na watu wamenisaidia, my manager Steve, Slim Film Steven Jeru, my brother who is in the video Barry, big up, alafu Trey Jewels who is the director of the music, and VDJ Jones ule pia alitusaidia sana kwa upande ile spendi sita mention but alitusaidia support kubwa sana. Alafu pia tuko na Edu G ule ali make sure kila mtu ako sawa. Then kuna Zlata Kilo alisema tu mazee dress code lazima ikuwe hivi. In fact shooting this video hata kuna wase wawili tulikosana nao juu ya dress code. Juu mimi nilikuwa nataka this, they want this. Pia naweza big up Abuto. Yeye pia alisema kila kitu lazima kuwe transport nini food, yeye alisimamia hizo zote.
So there was an entire team at least that
team ilikuwa hapo yote na kila mtu alisimamia job yake ambapo hakuna pali walinifeli except hiyo kelele kidogo hiyo ya dressing code. But after all we brothers tunakosana, ni kama tu wewe na ndugu yako mkosane, then after that uone makosa yako you apologize.
You have to reconcile.
Right now we are back as a team. So tunasukuma one time as a team.
All right. So then does it mean that your style of music may change per se? Am I just is that the same style but you just want to at least improve a bit?
I love how you said it, per se. So naweza sema like right now naweza sema nataka kufanya muziki ile ime grow up kidogo. Yeah, muziki ile iko na heshima, muziki ile cause hata by then nimekuja hapa KBC siku mingi sana na every time and then hata kuna siku moja kuna Club One Jen huyo alikuwa hapa. Kuna siku moja alikuwa nikiargue na yeye ananiambia ati na bado watu wamevaa hivi umechukua underage ukaweka kwa vile nikamwambia hapana, ni mwili ndio ndogo si underage. So unaona vitu kama hizo unavalue sana ndio usipate usigongana na hizo questions cause ukikuja you are not prepared for those questions. So unajua once they come unaweza toa answer na hiyo answer itoke vibaya. Unaona na ule mse for example hiyo student nilikuwa nakwambia huyu msichana mwili yake ndio ndogo. Aone na mwambia kwa TV mwili yake ndio ndogo. Unaona hiyo ni maybe kwake anaweza chukua ni kama matusi. Na mimi nilitoa ile in a polite way so that nisiwe rude, nisikose kujibu Jen na pia mimi. So I just decided that I will focus on good thing before I shoot the video. Tutaka chini to rehearse tuone hii itafitu wapi na wapi. And that's my way forward. Me as the king and the king empire, the team yangu yote itakuwa hivyo. Na team yangu yote saizi right now as we are speaking kuna kijana mwingine amenitumia ngoma zake sana anaitwa Honey Boy. Ngoma zake ni sawa sana, nimeziona, akona sauti.
Akona talanta.
Akona talanta, akona hizo udiamond.
Na Kiswahili.
Naziitanga udiamond. So me and my team nilisha present hiyo ngoma zake kwa board. Board wakasema they are discussing it. Honey Boy very soon Mungu akijalia unaweza join the King Entertainment, the King Empire. So hiyo ndio kitu nataka tu at least pia mimi siku moja nikidai wase waseme Mazeda King alitushika na tumefika hapa juu yake.
You really out here to make impact kabisa.
I'm not okay like kuna wase wanakujanga kwa hii business to make money.
And people come actually by there to entertainment space for different reasons.
Yeah, but mimi nataka hapa nikuja hapa niache good talk. Yani like ukikaa chini unapiga story yangu, utapiga story yangu different. Sio ati huyo msali alikuwa na do, alikuwa na spoil nini no. Msali alikuwa na do, umsa alitusaidia hivi ama umsa yakuwa na do na alitusaidia hivi. Unaelewa? That's what I want. Ndio pia mimi one day one time mjukuu wangu si hata mtoto wangu mjukuu wangu asiwe kwa shida ile. I went through hell. I went through hell ndio nifike hapa pale niko. But staki.
Kwanza muziki haikuwa it was not a walk in the park for you.
Hiyo hata siwezi sema hiyo story, hiyo ilikuwa tu mess. Yani tuachie tu Mungu.
Tuachie tu Mungu. But at least you are here.
At least I'm happy. Pale nimefika mimi naweza sema I'm happy. Because unajua sikuwa najua, nilikuwa nakaa hivi naangalia TV nasema one day nitamitu mtu kweli. Unaona? Ushaona mtu kwa TV tu mpaka una wish to how will you
meet this person.
So at least naweza sema Mungu ni mkubwa, amenisaidia tu sana, then put God first. Unaona? Put God first, pray a lot, love yourself, love your neighbors, love your family, love everybody. Ukishapenda kila mtu utaona tu biashara zako zinaenda nywe. Because this song venye ilitoka tu hivi mimi nilipost kwa YouTube na nilipata 4 calls from TV station zile hata sijui buda naona umetoa kazi na hujanitumia. Nitumie hiyo ngoma nikali nikucheze. I was shocked because mimi ndio utafuta watu waambie buda niaje nimetoa song mpya, hebu cheki uniambie kama inaweza pata airplay kwa show zako. But this time they called me and I was shocked.
And you are shocked and happy at the same time.
And happy at the same time because naona tu ni kama nimedo something. Unaona? Hata nikikadao nasema tu at least this time round nimefanya kitu.
So cool Kenya unasema is that at least wasanii wa hii generation tuseme hii hapa they called generation Z if I can say. inafaa watu hii mentality ya ati explicit content sells.
No, first ile kitu naweza sema, first they stop. Yani waache madre.
Okay.
Because unajua all of these things do happen with the things they are using. Because unapata, mi unajua, to be honest, mi ukinipata nikikunywa, sikunywi juu lazima
nikunywe. So it means kuna some issues here and there behind before.
Kuna mse haezi record without kukunywa. Haezi kuja kwa TV without kukunywa. Haezi kuwa kwa radio kama hajakunywa ama hajavuta.
Artists are going through a lot.
Sana. I wish mungekuwa mnajua, but sasa mimi naweza waambia just be you. Uko na talent. Ni wewe uko na talent. Be you, do your thing. Be yani sober. Sober mind inakuanga kitu mzuri sana. Ukishakuwa sober, utaona. Unajua saa zile umevuta kitu utaona. Mtu akikutwakia hivi unaona, that's it. But saa zile uko sober,
utaona hapa kuna shida.
Ukiona dema na kuja kitua kutaangalia left right. Kama hakuna msee utahepa. Na kama kuna wasee utamwambia kama cheza chini, wasee wanatucheki. Juu unajua uko sober. But saa zile hauko sober, pia wewe utajoin, utakuwa unaruka tu zako. Unaelewa sasa? So ile naweza advice naweza wapatia kwanza. Just be you. Si lazima utumie hiyo kitu. Ni hiyo kitu iko na talent, si wewe. Let me be honest and tell you. Saa zile unatumia hiyo kitu ndio uingie pale uperform ama record ama shoot video. Hiyo kitu ndio iko na talent, si wewe. Na siku ile hiyo kitu itakosekana, utakuwa na shida zaidi.
Wow. God, that is huge.
Thank you.
That is huge.
At least
umewaambia.
Okay. Na ukinichukia wanichukie.
Okuchukie, but at least you've told them the truth.
Yeah.
What has been your best moment as an artist since when you began music? Nini unaangalia ngwa nasema, by the way, actually me kama msanii as an artist, ama after releasing this song, ama after doing this project, this has been one of my best moments.
Ile naweza sema tu ile like meeting different people.
Okay.
Getting opportunity to, unajua kuna place naweza ingia without kupigwa hata search kufanywa nini.
Yani washakujua that much.
Uni the king. Hata ni hiyo ingia. For example, hata nikiingia hapa KBC. Venye watu wanani receive.
Yeah.
Unaona, hata mimi usemanga like you don't need to have a lot of money ndio wasewa ku respect. Kama mi usema like ile pesa niko nayo ile naweza I'm very very rich and I'm happy for it. Unaona, once you are happy, I'm happy, he's happy, everybody around me is happy. Hiyo ndio mali yangu. Na hiyo ndio napenda. Na hiyo peke yake ndio nasema saizi naweza sema usanii umenipatia, cause singekuwa naimba, singepata hii mali ya watu wote wako karibu na mimi wako happy. Ni usanii imeleta hii kitu, cause ningekuwa nafanya job zangu ilikuwa tu my job mates ama awase tuko nayo karibu watu kama 20 na wase saa zingine tunakunywa nao kwa club ama watu wa estate. But right now naweza pata niko na like 3,000, 4,000 watu wananisikiza ama wananiwatch, ama like saizi ninaweza sema watu 56,000 wamewatch ngoma in 2 weeks. Au watu 56,000 wananiona na wananirespect na wananipenda. And hiyo ndio wealth mimi naweza sema usanii.
Hiyo ndio una consider wealth pia.
Hiyo ndio usanii imenipatia. Hiyo ndio furaha usanii imenipatia. Hiyo ndio mali ile naweza sema usanii imenipatia hiyo mali. And kama unaweza kuwa hivyo rich venye niko rich, kuna kitu naweza fanya kwa hiyo.
So ni tunasema tu like people should be out to chase what impact am I making in my society. Na pia ulipeana example ya Isa, na kuna wasanii wengi wenye bado say tuna feel their music regardless of them, you know, having gone.
Yes.
That's all we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Okay, you also talked about collabos a bit earlier, and I'd want to know, how do you go about choosing? Nini nafanya useme, by the way, umse lazima nifanye naye collabo? Ni style yake, mind yake, what exactly?
Okay, mi ile kitu mimi usema, mimi si choosing collab. Naweza fanya collab na mtu yoyote.
Anyone.
Hata mtu ajaye imba, hata mimi ndio naweza muandikia song.
Semeta upcoming artist.
Hata mimi ndio nimuandikie song, tuanifanye collab mimi na yeye.
Okay.
The only thing mimi huangalia ni respect and the content and the music. Unajua in industry tuko na good music and sweet music. And music.
What's the difference?
The difference is who can bogo me? Hiyo ngoma unaikumbuka?
Kabisa.
Ni siku ngapi hiyo?
Hata ilikuwa kwa campaign. Which year was that? Back in the day.
Hiyo inaitwa good music.
Good music.
Haitawahi kufa. Alafu ichi best sema ichi, unaweza kumbuka hiyo song? Kenrezi.
Sweet music.
That's a sweet music. Itakuja and wap. Hata kama hizi mbogi.
Itakuja ni bambe hii moment.
Imbogi genje, hizi ni sweet music, zitaendanga, zinakujanga na imego.
Okay.
So alafu kuna ile music ni kama ile wale wa zamani zilizopendwa, ile ni music sasa.
Music that lives with every generation.
Yeah, exactly.
At least utaisikia hata kama. Okay.
So mimi saizi nataka nifanye good music. Ile music ile
that lives on.
Yeah, so long as you have a good music and a good vibe and a good lines, I will work with you. Yeah.
So for you, si ati style ya huyu ni gengeton, style ya huyu ni kapuka.
Naweza kuambia kuna kitu moja King Kaka aliniambia, kaniambia the king. Siku moja nikamcall nikamwambia Buda sifanye kazi, akaniambia siwezi fanya kazi na wewe. Nikajiuliza kwa nini? Akamwambia bro, I know you since King Kaka nimemjua kitambo hata before kwa King Kaka. Bado alikuwa Rabbit. King Kaka ananiambia Buda, unaona the way you are going, go like that. Usifanye nifanye collabo na mimi ndio watu waona ni kama nilikutoa. Just work hard like that. Si ati nimekunyima collabo ama naringa. I just want you to be somebody. By yourself.
By yourself first.
Mimi nimefanya hivyo by myself.
Isikwe you used my brand
to nini. Akaniambia Buda tutafanya collabo, but aliniambia I need you to remove like 10 songs.
Peke yako kwanza.
Peke yangu kwanza. Ikuwe hit siwe hit, mimi nataka 10 songs bro. Give me those 10 songs hata kama ni leo zote. 11th song ni mimi na wewe.
Cool. Do you think that hiyo ni aspects moja upcoming artists wana miss? They always feel like the veterans wenye huko juu
wanawadharau.
Na wanaringa sana, washafika, they don't want to help them and assist them.
Kuna kitu moja unajua right now ukifanya ngoma na ni Jua Kali.
Yeah.
Kuna ni plus kwako ukifanya ngoma na yeye. Na ni minus kwako.
Jumini upcoming size.
Jumini upcoming. Na saa zile amefanya collab Calligraph na Jua Kali ni plus kwa wote, cause uni OG, unaona wote wanafanya ngoma. Hiyo ni ngoma inaweza enda hata isisukume, inaweza enda. But saa zile amefanya ngoma na mimi, itabidi nisukume hii ngoma ama nisaidie kusukuma hii ngoma. You need to make calls. Ni aje kuna ngoma nimefanya na boy fulani hivi nini bla bla bla. No, kitu alikuwa nataka nikifanya ngoma si ati tunachukua vitu mingi kuisukuma. Ngoma inajisukuma peke yake. And sikuichukua vibaya. Mimi nilimwambia bro thank you. Na tuliongea a lot.
Vile alikataa.
Tuliongea a lot. Hata sikuwa naweza jua tumeongea hizo. Alipatia mpaka advices zingine hata ambapo siwezi sema. But venye tuliongea ilikuwa mzuri sana. Every time and then nimetoa ngoma namtumia. Every time and then ametoa ngoma, hata ametoa tu kitu yote, lazima ni drop here. Unaona? And hiyo ndio kitu ile nilikuwa nasema wasanii tukikuwa na hivyo like nikitoa ngoma na kutumia unisikizie kwanza before itoke. That's why unaona my music before saizi itoke inapita kwa producer wangapi? 4. MED, Jagede, Ihaji, alafu Dogorichi pia unajua. Yeye pia ni producer na Kalechi Africana. So hawa wote lazima waangaliange my music ambapo waniambie Buda iko sawa.
So also what you're saying is that artists wajitume
wakuwe na ile
first see what you can do. So unasema uko na talent.
Yes.
First see what you can do by yourself.
By yourself before kuna mtu akuja kuvurute. Cause unaona for example Honey Boy unakwambia ako na talent but ajui venye anaweza tumia hii talent yake. So unapata anaenda kwa wrong people. Cause unapata msee ameingia kwake, msee anamwambia Buda si unipatie hiyo song, niuzie hiyo song alafu tutafanya collab next. Na hiyo song anataka uziwe ndio kali zaidi, unaona ni hata song inaweza toa huo msee. But sasa unapata yeye ana expose, yani anataka collab, yani anataka kila kitu haraka venye naweza. But bala kwetu patient, asukume tu ngoma yake venye naweza, akikutana na mtu kama mimi ule anaweza msaidia, ako na roho ya kumsaidia. Nitamsaidia venye naweza. But yeye anataka tu kila kitu kue. Yani maziwa mix tu na umix maziwa na maji vikwe chai.
Anakwambia it's just the same thing we were saying earlier on, that we are what we call the microwave generation.
Exactly.
Sinishambia niko na talent. Sinena niko na talent. Now let me do my thing.
Exactly.
Which is a wrong way
jiskume hata kama uko na unaona mimi najiskuma hata niko na timu wale wananisaidia kujiskuma. But unaweza pata nimefika hapa na msee anapigia wewe simu, nikishatoka hapa ama niko na wewe hapa anapiga simu, ni aje naweza leta msanii wangu Kulmalka hapo kwenye interview ama nini. Niko naye hata hapa saa hii. Ama unaongea juu ya huyo. So unajua like be ahead of your team. Yani jitume kabisa. Mpaka kuna juzi Daddy Q, big up Daddy Q, alikuwa ananiambia TV guy mambo, wewe unapenda TV sana. Nikamwambia Buda, kama sijiskumi hautanijua.
Hiyo TV hata mtaniona.
Exactly.
You've talked about the likes of Kina King Kaka, Dogorichi and some people here and there that I also want to believe not wenye wameku at least mentor.
Kabisa.
Watu waliona what you have wakagrow na wewe kabisa.
Unaona kuna record label inaitwa Dallas Record. Kina Erasto, awase wote, yani Madala, Adasa. By the way, hata ametoa song nyingine kali sana. Big up my sister. Awase nikitoka Nairobi niende Mombasa, awase wacha jobs zao home na mattress zao na nini, wanakuja studio kunisaidia. Nafikanga studio hivi, ngoma ile nilikuja na idea ya kuandika inabadilishwa. Kila mtu analeta melody yake hapo.
But Kenny, juu umekubali kukuwa mentored.
Kusaidiwa, yeah. Unasikia kubali kusaidiwa.
Okay.
Juu unajua kila mtu anasaidiwa. Kunanga mtu wako top. So venye mimi ukubali kusaidiwa, that's why unaona siku hizi ukinisikiza ngoma yangu zile za kwanza na ya saa hii,
kuna difference
kubwa sana. Hata mimi nilikubali nikasema kubwa sana. Ni juu nimekubali kusaidiwa, nimekubali kusikiza na nimekubali kuambiwa. Najua niko na talent but kubali kuambiwa. Kama msee alikuwa unapeleka, msee akwambia peleka, hivyo kubali naishi.
Shida kubwa nyesi uko nayo watu wa saa hii ni eti, do we really feel that we are so much so talented that mi wezi niambia?
Yeah, it's true. Kuna wasanii wanajifeel hivyo, but mimi naweza sema mimi na timu yangu just naongea on behalf of the King Empire. Nataka hii ni mtako yangu, sio hata wa yao. Nataka every time and then nikikwambia kitu nisikize, msee mwingine akikwambia sikiza. Usiposikiza unakuwa suspended kwa hii team. Ama uende kabisa. Respect kwanza, discipline ikishakuwa na ukubali kuambiwa. Tukikubali kuambiwa tutaenda mbali sana. That's why unaona Nigerian wanakuja wanashikana na wanaleta wasanii wengi sana na wengi wanakuwa masters.
And actually when you look at the entertainment space in Nigeria and even Tanzania, it's so different.
Because ni kushikana mkono. For example, so Diamond, wewe ulikuwa unazuia sukari, huyu dema ameenda sukari. Mimi hata jina yake saa zingine sijuangi, mimi namuita sukari. Huyo dema ameleta
mpaka anaitwa Zuchu sawa na muita sukari.
Sukari juu huyo dema ametolewa from nowhere. Sasa hizi ni star hata kunishinda na ameanza kuimba hata juzi hata sijui ni lini.
Juu ameshikwa mkono.
Exactly, na amekubali kushikwa mkono. Na saa hizi pia anajua wewe pia pahali yuko kuna wengine mabeste wake wanawaleta karibu. Hii ni keki kubwa. Hii plate ni kubwa, sisi wote tunaweza ikulia. Na venye tunaweza kula sisi wote tushibe tukishikana mkono na tufanye tuwaka as a team.
As a team. Okay, now when you look at where we are right now, and tumekuwa tukiongea over time, that when you look at this, especially this, is it like 2 or 4 industries here in the country, when you look at the hospitality industry, tourism, entertainment, yes, to understand a lot of, like every industry has been hard hit by COVID. But when you look especially about the entertainment space, back in Africa, sasa what do I do? Because I need to be in a gathering for me to make money. I need to be in that gig for me to make money. I need to go there and sing. I need to go there perform. But as penye tumefika, artists can't do that.
Kitu naweza ambia wasanii, usiweke mind yako yote kwa show. Usiweke mind yako yote kwa nini. Sasa hizi tuko na YouTube inalipa, tuko na Skiza inalipa, tuko na downloads iTunes nini. Hizo manini zote, name zote zinalipa. Just jibrand vizuri. Sukuma kazi yako. Hata kama kuna show, kuna pesa ile itakuwa na kuingilianga monthly. Kwa Skiza wanalipa watu monthly. Kuna pesa ile kidogo, hata kama ni kidogo sio venye ulikuwa na expect.
But at least it's something.
Itaingia ambapo itakusaidia kwa 1 2 3. Then hii pesa ikiingia, invest kwa biashara zingine. Tuko na biashara mingi sana siku hizi za kufanya. Hata biashara ya kuuza mboga, uza mboga. Hata inaweza kuwa ni talk of the town, inaweza trend sana, msanii anauza mboga, anakatia watu mboga hivi.
Now, I think it's very important for us at least to talk about this, tuone if we can at least get solutions, because sasa hizi unapata kuna watu wengi sana, especially wasanii by the way. There's a lot of mental stress, frustration. Mtu ajui afanye nini. That's why tunapata a lot of artists mtu anajiua because ajui afanye nini.
That's why I was telling you. Sikiza venye nakwambia. Wewe mimi ni Cool Malk. Though mimi niko na biashara yangu, mimi niko na garage kora na I buy salvage cars na zitengeneza zirudi good car, then I sell them. Kuwe wewe saizi wewe ni msanii, enda pale kwa kibanda tu hivi kidogo. Uza mboga, uone kama TV kutafute, nani anauza mboga? Willy Paul anauza mboga. Kwanza watu wanaweza nunua mboga sana mpaka ushindwe, mimi Willy Paul nauza mboga. Unajua, mtu akuje hapo kununua mboga anakuja, unaweza pata mtu anakuja hapo nikatie mboga ya sombi.
Na hiyo ni biz.
Anataka mboga ya sombili na ishi peke yake. Hiyo mboga anaenda kufanya nayo nini yote? Juu ya nini Willy Paul anakata mboga? Unaelewa kitu kama hiyo? Ringtone atuambii nini yako nayo marriage roba. Anakata mboga pale, anauza mboga, anakula mandondo, Bahati anapika mandondo pale hivi. Hoteli ya Bahati imejengwa na nini mabati hivi, sio ile classic. Hebu niambie kama wewe huwezi toka hapo uende kwa hoteli ya Bahati Kibira ama Mathare. Unaweza unataka kujua ni nini anafanya. Hata medias wanaweza focus on him sana than even anything.
And that is how you use this opportunity.
Yeah. Na hiyo ndio wasanii wataki, anataka dunge poa vae viatu nini story ishe. So unapata kitu kama hiyo ndio wasanii wana miss.
Okay.
Just do something. allow yourself to be dirty so that you can
Wow.
unaona kama uwezi kujichafua atuweni msanii Mike, wewe unataka ujichafue usweat saa zile unaimba peke yake na kushoot video sweat, beba hata mawe kwa mjengo hivi, vaa tu hata mask. Saa hizi mask inasaidia, baba mask na kosi, hakuna mtu atakujua, beba mawe, panda juu, pereka, fanya mjengo.
So meaning there's a solution.
Kuna kubwa sana, ni sisi hatutaki.
Okay.
Tumekuwa lazy.
I was so hooked to the convo that I even forgot that we ran out of time. But
sorry.
Thank you so much, at least, for giving us some insight on what artists can do in this difficult time.
Yes.
All right, and I mean, that's just where we bring the conversation to a close this Thursday. Thank you so much for staying tuned all through from Monday through Thursday. I'm Dorina Range. Till next week, have a beautiful morning.
Okay. Pia mimi
Nikupelada like lakeside. One time. Nyako, I'm in love. Give me dwaro ami. Chunya pongi marka kilunga ganyinga. Aero kakilunga ganida. Aero kakilunga ganida. Aero kakilunga ganida. Oh la la la. Aero kakilunga ganida. Aero kakilunga ganida. Aero kakilunga ganida.